Some Ildon. What's going on, Mayu? Hello, people, and welcome. I'm all gray. It kind of turned out all right. And then, like, the sad part is I kind of felt like it feels right anyways. What can you do? Oh, let's cut this and put the other stuff on. But yeah, so the big issue was I honestly spent about a little over 3 hours dyeing my hair with a semi-permanent dye, which I had to learn all about. And apparently, well, not Balmung. And apparently, if you have healthy hair, your cuticles don't open up, so they can't absorb anything. So you got to bleach and hurt the shit out of your hair, which I just didn't. So instead, it turned my hair a little bit darker. But I had a backup plan. So I have this crazy color-changing putty, and well, I'm gonna have to get it off of my headset. But otherwise, it turned out all right. I'm super happy I grew a beard for a month to get the beard, you know. But yeah. Oh, I hate being called Gramps Mayu. I'll let you off with a warning, though, next time you're gone. I hate Gramps. Alrighty, let's see. Let's get going. The white-haired girl's persistent letters did not improve anything, but simply stoked the flames of misunderstanding. Yeah, I was telling the whole story. I've been keeping my mom up to date whenever I call her on this game. I'm like, it's been fantastic, Mom. I get to read about domestic abuse to everybody. This is what I enjoy doing for hours. This continued for several months. Though outside the sun shone with the gentle warmth of spring, the cold, bitter winds of winter still relentlessly blew between Jack and his wife. Not allowed to leave her shed and never receiving a reply to her letters, the white-haired girl's only source of information was Maria. Week after week, her circumstances remained the same, but something else was beginning to show signs of change. What's going on, Ghost? Welcome, Raiders and Kenner OAG, currently playing some house in Fata Morgana. Thanks for doing a shout out. How was the whole Warhammer going? And the defense, thank you very much. Her mental state. It's pointless, madam. You're only wasting your time at this point. I saw him throw your letter into the fireplace. He's not going to read anything you write, no matter how much of your soul you pour into it. He cares more about money and work than love. That's the kind of man he is. We're also on team not really enjoying Maria. Just give up and file for divorce already. No. I will get through to him. Everything will go back to normal. I have faith. All my letters may go up in flames, but my faith will not be lost with them. As long as I keep writing, eventually I will get through to him. I cannot stop. I cannot. Hopefully today we're done with her chapter and get to the fourth one, because I would like to complete this, as well as the Wolf Among Us, by the end of the week. Oldest, angry, it's true. Older, angrier, gasmier. Do you have any idea what he says about you, madam? Jack doesn't trust you in the slightest. He goes around calling you a witch. A man-eating devil woman. It's awful. There's no one as pure and as beautiful as you. He says, I am a witch? Well, I'll try to complete it no matter what, and I'm gonna up my game a little bit and do 3.5 hour streams. So, listen to me, madam. He never for a second actually loved you, and an extra day. That is what all the bits and subs and cheers and the grays from the channel things. Let's be careful not to get the gray stuff on everything. He just wanted the influence attached to your name. Wanted to mingle with the upper class. He used you. But last year, when we went out together, he gave me the Fennicus wheel at the photography shop. That's the word. I was trying to tell my mom, I'm like, Fennicus wheel, but I'm like, there's the more proper term for it. He had the owner make it especially for me. He was just trying to win your favor. If he really cared for you, He wouldn't have gotten you a paper toy. He would have gotten you something like a ring or a necklace or some perfume, a nice dress. Something women really like. Has he ever given you anything like that? I almost at 10 million. He doesn't have any feelings for me? Oh, I'm sorry. I just couldn't stand to see you go through this. I don't want to shut my fat trap. I went too far. The last thing I need to be doing is hurting you worse. You know, for everything I've said, your unwavering dedication is really impressive, madam. I know I've suggested you get a divorce, but to be honest, part of me kinda doesn't actually want you to split up. Despite knowing you staying with him is just causing you pain. You made it this far, I'd like to see you make it all the way through. Maybe he will actually start paying attention. Your sweetness can melt even his heart of steel. Yes, you're right. I will keep waiting. Keep writing. I will not divorce him. Yeah, alright. So please, keep delivering my letters to him. I gotta hear somewhere. You're my only remaining connection to the outside world. Oh yes, one more thing. If it's not too much trouble...
You're stupider than I thought, woman.
Oh, Ildan, she's doing her best. Could you tell me how he has been? Know what he's been doing lately? I do not have much else to write about. So if I could at least relieve him of some of his work-related stress. I am his wife, after all. I should be able to do that much for him. I am his wife. Her dedication to him was perhaps closer to an obsession, but she did not seem to be conscientious of the fact that her obsession was killing her. She was visibly losing weight and her spirit was breaking down. It is said that emotions fade with time, but the opposite can also be true. The act of waiting, of fervently believing for so many months despite the objects of one's affections not returning them, can tear apart a person's heart, crush their soul, shatter their spirit, no matter how radiant, how thick-skinned they may be. With enough time, it will wear anyone down. A mind stretched by new experiences can never go back to its old dimensions. No one is immune. Hopefully not. It's pointless, Jack. Wait all you want, you won't get her back. If she's going to be writing letters, she could at least write one for you. You look so pure, pretty as an angel, but God Almighty, is it only how she looks? You've changed a bit. What? Have I? The old you would be yelling and screaming, chomping at the bit to go storm in on the madam. Now you just go quiet. I'm just a little tired. You could break it off then. What? You've already made a name for yourself in high society. Well, he's gonna start ignoring you. You've more than put her family name to good use. But in your words, it is no longer necessary. He was recently stabbed, right? I'm not messing up the timeline. This isn't something I really want to say, but the madam has never liked you. Aw. Rhea, you were a horrible person. She was married off to a total stranger and forced to leave her home. I'm sure she felt very alone, and so she sought the companionship of other men. Anyone who wasn't you probably seemed quite attractive to her. So without getting violent or threatening to kill her or anything, just end it already, quietly and without a fuss. It'll be easier for you that way. I cannot. Because you still love her? That's wonderful, Jack. After everything, you still love her. It's this blind, slavish devotion at this point. Perhaps it is foolish, unhealthy obsession, but I still not wish to sever ties of her. I cannot get the image of her smile out of my head. The look of utter elation on her face as she looked through the phenakistoscope. Those captivating eyes beneath the veil at our wedding. I will never, for as long as I live, forget those sights. Oh, are me surprised. You're a sentimental one. Well, I guess you always have been kind of mushy, haven't you? I still don't like Jack either, but Rhea's more unlikable. True to your heart, despite how you may look. It's not a bad thing, though, in my book. There's nothing but pain in it for you now, but all you can do is wait until she stops writing. Don't worry, if you need to let off some steam, I'm all ears. I'll be here for you until she breaks it off with the other men. I still am not really certain about that year. That's kind of like missing in the gap. And again, I'm not saying he's a good guy by any means. But has Maria been doing this the entire year leading up to this as well? No, that will not be necessary. What? I know very well that things cannot continue on as they are forever. I knew it from the beginning and still couldn't do anything. This time I'm planning on facing her myself. You serious, Jack? Yes. I relied on you for too long. I was afraid of what I might do to her. I didn't want anyone to find out that my wife was being unfaithful. I thought the best way to ensure that was by locking her up away from anyone else, but the situation is not going to improve unless I do something. If I allow things to continue as they are, sooner or later word of her infidelity will leak. So before that happens, I must face her myself. I must do something. It's probably best if you didn't. I'll tell her anything you want. Make sure things start improving. I appreciate everything you've done. I apologize for getting you involved in our troubles. I'm going to end it now. No, I must put an end to it. This is a problem between me and her. You might get violent again if you go see her face to face. Yes, I might. Might do something that would look rather bad for me. But it's reached a point where, until the two of us face up to each other, it's never going to go away. It took me far too long. I wasted too much time trying to find my resolve. I see. You'll need a way to break the ice then. Break the ice? Right. I know it. I know it already. You could just bust in there and be like, hey, white-haired lady, how much does a polar bear weigh? She's like, I'm not sure. And then he puts his arm around her. You know, enough to break the ice. My name's Jack. Right. If you got some convenient excuse to talk to her, it'll reduce some tension and make it easier to bring up what you need to bring up, right? Here's an idea. That transcontinental railroad you've been funding. That's supposed to be opening up pretty soon, isn't it? Yes, it is. There'll be a message by telegraph when it appears, right? You can ask her to be there to hear it. And then you can invite her to ride on the first train. You put your heart and soul into this project and it's finally being realized. It's going to be an amazing day for you, and a day like that's ripe for more good things to happen. It's going to be the accomplishment of a lifetime. Don't look so down in the dumps. You're sending trains across this massive continent, carrying on them the people of this country's dreams. Yeah, I'm a little confuzzled too. I mean, like, how much of an icebreaker do you really need to talk to your... I mean, it's going to be probably a little awkward. Like, hey, you know, sorry I locked you up in a shed for, I assume, a couple weeks now. Who says you can't stick a dream of your own on it too? Right. Yes, you have a point. A railroad that spans from coast to coast is a sickly girl, which makes long trips difficult. But this new rail system should make them much less straining. It would allow me to show her the world. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm getting excited myself. It'll go great, I'm sure of it. Yeah. Should I make Maria one of the bosses? I'm gonna make Maria a boss. I think that'll be a good idea. We can have the Beast. What was her name? Nellie? And Maria. I'll write this down. What's going on, Em? Arrive safely. Oh god, my fucking sides. Seriously, they're a goddamn right, the both of them. They keep on trusting me and keep on getting hurt. They don't have to be going through any of this. Oh my god, Maria, you are terrible. And these people call me the Holy Mother. But the real Mary's rolling in her fucking grave. He winked her last wink. Now, I'll have you know, and I didn't want to call you out on it, but Ildon did stream after that. I didn't see a single wink. They were both shut at the same time. What's going on, Doc? I must say, I wasn't expecting you to make a move, Jack. A shame that. The squirming loser, paralyzed by insecurity, is a better role for you. If they do end up figuring it out, tough shit. Doesn't hurt anything, just takes away a bit of my fun. I know, which is not winking. I don't understand why he's so infatuated with his railroad. I mean, I do sort of get romanticizing steel, but my kind of steel's a little smaller scale. Hope that's a dick joke. Anyway, I suppose it's about time to get things moving. No matter how this plays out, you will not have a happy ending, Jack. You're gonna get a real taste out of just how much I despise you. Maria, oh, there you are. What is it? I'm on break right now. You were assigned to clean the cellar today, weren't you? Well, headmaid's saying it hasn't been done yet. What? I did. I cleaned it. The casual once-over, but hey. Well, I'll do it again, and do it right this time. What's shaking, Aether? Haven't heard from you in forever. Enjoy your breakfast! We'll do it again, and do it right this time, because if you don't, it's gonna fall on me. And that's supposed to make me give a damn? I mean it, you take care of it. You get enough special treatment as it is. Yeah, right. I heard you the first time. I'll care of it. I guess I'll take care of it. And don't forget it. Oh, for God's sake. Why should I have to be the one to tell her? Is she gone? What a pain. Who cares if the damn cellar is clean? Not like anyone bringing guests down there. Eesh. I guess I should take care of it. Better that than a tongue lashing by the head maid. God, why do I have to be a maid anyway? What a dank place. It's so dark and humid down here. Makes me feel gross. Someone there? Hello? Hello, is anyone in there? I'm farther in. Oh, it's seriously dusty back here. Who was supposed to clean this last week? Clean the whole thing next time, damn it. This makes my job harder. Disgusting. Damn cobwebs. Oh god. Oh dear god. I do not want to clean this. Oh, for God's sake. Stack this stuff properly. Now I've got to fix this whole mess. For the love of... Huh? What's this? Something carved into the floor? Never noticed this before. Someone got bored one day? What do we have here? It's mostly illegible. Let's see. It's not written in English, but my native tongue. But it's not modern. It's really archaic. Why on earth would an old form of my country's language be carved into the floor of a mansion built here in the New World? Most of it's illegible, but I can still make out one section. Our lives. Our lives shall be forfeit to the witch's curse. Nevertheless, we must lay bare those with sin upon their souls, for the redemption of those whom are pure. Should you mean not to dispel your curse, we implore of you, O witch, mark with it only their bloodlines, the blood of the sinners. Flows through those who dwelt within this house, but not I. What in the... A witch? That's crazy. That's crazy. But why does the handwriting look like mine? It's just coincidentally similar. No one's handwriting is perfectly unique after all. Why am I so sweaty? It's not that hot down here. Nope, forget it. Didn't see a thing. Not a chance it's real, just a tasteless prank. This is silly. Oh, there's something in this box. Is that a painting? Has it always been here? Huh? White hair, fair skin. Is this the madam? But then... why is the face all torn up? And her clothes, they look really old-fashioned. The painting seems worn and faded too. Something about it feels off. I know. Dracula's Mansion. This is actually a visual novel that leads into Castlevania. I'd be 100% cool with that. I'm not sure how to describe it. It's very creepy, unsettling. Writing on the floor, this painting. What is with this house? Oh, Maria is a blonde, you're right. I didn't even think about that. It's just a painting. Nothing to get weirded out over. And there was a wine glass at some point. Holy shit, we figured it out. Bing, bing, boom, next game. I bet I know what happened. Jack probably slashed it up in some fit of jealousy. He is a simple man. This probably wouldn't put him in the best mood. You be talking out loud, Maria? What was that? Is someone there? The door is open? There. What's this, a painting? Who could have left it in here? Is that me? Why, but my face, it's been cut. No. Why would someone have this painted just to do this? Who would do such a thing? You're like a witch, my dear, like a demon. Your very presence brings misfortune upon others. You are cursed. No, I am not. I'm not. Was it you, Jack? Did you have this painted so you could destroy it? You really despise me to that extent? Why? Why do you... What did I ever do to make you hate me so? Why? All I'm doing is waiting for you. You worthless tramp. For those years only for show? The house has no need of a garden. I always thought you had at least some sense of taste. Silence, it's all your fault, every last thing. Then say goodbye to your freedom. I'll kill you. Does the mere act of waiting impose upon you? Does my mere presence pervert you? It would be better if I were gone? It would be better if I left this man? If I left you? I don't think I can wait much longer. No end in sight. Can't take it any... There's no end. I will set a deadline for when I give up waiting. When the project you pour your heart and soul into is complete, when the railroad opens, I'll be finished waiting, and then it's over. Dun dun dun. No creepy child laughed. Oh, what's this chapter called? The end of the line is this chapter. The Pacific Railroad's last spike ceremony was drawing nearer by the day. The day was coincidentally the deadline the two of them had set for themselves, Jack to confront his wife and the white girl to wait for him. And as that day approached, she continued to write letters. She wrote the letters purely by force of habit, despite having been worn visibly thin. I expect that she could not stop, that the act of writing was all that kept her from going mad. By focusing her attention on another person through her letters, she was able to maintain her grip on herself. I really don't like this chapter. It makes me uncomfortable. But that day would put an end to her suffering and despair. When the railroad was completed, all their misunderstandings would be cleared up. They would return to the smiling, happy couple they had been when they were first married. The harsh winter would finally come to a close, melting away into the past and allowing them to step into the future. With constant prayer in my heart, I impatiently awaited the railroad's opening ceremony. Yeah, and there's been like really there's been no positive in this chapter at all, as far as I can tell. I think. Yeah, nothing. I do not, after all, wish for anyone to fall into any kind of misfortune. And that goes for you as well, Master. Now, Master, which I'm not saying games have to have positive compared to the other ones. The door is soon to be shut upon this era. Are you prepared to see what happens next? I see. Very well. Then allow us to make our way to that final day. See with your own eyes, Master, how this tale concludes. And please do not let go of my hand. The hand thing's starting to freak me out too. Yeah, we had the weird shit, I forgot the name of the Fennicus wheel thing. And that was like neutral at best and still not really positive. The night before the opening ceremony, the master of the house headed for his wife's shed. There was a tension on his face, but a surety in his step. He had found the resolve to speak with her. Having locked her away for so long in the shed like a common prisoner, Jack was hardly optimistic about what she might say to him. He had undeniably mistreated her, said heartless and cruel things to her, and even gotten physically violent with her. His actions were inexcusable, even if they were in response to her infidelity. Of course, the very infidelity which had driven him to such behavior had not, in fact, taken place, but he was unaware of that. There was a chance they would never reconcile their misunderstandings and that the predicament would not have a positive resolution, but he still clung to the tiny fragment of hope. He wanted to start over with the white-haired girl, to make a new future with her. With the desire burning strong in his heart, he stood before the door to her shed and called out to her. "Are you awake? It's me, Jack. May I come in? I won't hurt you. I will not raise my hand against you again. I swear to you, I will do you no harm. I just wish to speak. I'd like to have a calm, rational conversation, and as such I will not enter your room until you have given me your permission. May I please come in?" "You won't even give me a response? Alright. I mean, you can try a little harder, buddy. Come on, Jack. Considering how you must feel about me, I shouldn't be surprised. And you don't have to let me in, but please at least hear me out. You remember the day shortly after we first met? We went on our honeymoon, if you can even call that little walk we took a honeymoon." Maybe it's like that. I just wonder, okay, so I've only had one choice in this game. I don't know if that actually affects anything. Like, I think this is a kinetic story, so I don't have any choices, really. I wasn't able to do anything nice for you then, either. I had no experience, no idea how to interact with an upper-class woman like you. I didn't know what I should do for you. And yes, I know, that makes me sound juvenile. I have a tendency to say things I don't mean, the more perturbed I get. I'm sure I said things to hurt you numerous times that day. However, at the photography shop, when you saw the anarchistoscope, you smiled for me. I was genuinely pleased in that moment. I felt like I had gotten closer to you. I very much doubt that was actually an appropriate present for a noble woman like yourself. Jewels or flowers or something like that, something beautiful, would have certainly suited you better. I knew that, but I assumed you would have been given gifts like that countless times in the past. You are, after all, a beautiful woman. I didn't want to have to compete on the same field as those other men. I wanted to be special. No, I wanted to be unique to you. No one had ever shown you anything of the sort before, had they? Frankly, I wasn't sure if a woman of your status would take any interest in the phenakistoscope at all. I imagine you've thrown it out by now. I choose to believe you sincerely liked it on that day. That, if just for a moment, I caught your eye. Even if you started seeing other men afterwards, that moment was real, wasn't it? I know. Our marriage was, at its core, nothing but an arrangement between our parents in exchange of money and influence. That was how it began, but that day I loved you. I yearned to see you smile, as if I had loved you my entire life. The Pacific Railroad has finally been completed. That's the project I've been funding. Everyone thought it was crazy, but a railroad now stretches across the breadth of this country. The joining ceremony will be held tomorrow. It's going to be a grand event. Locally, they're planning on doing a gun salute, and the sound of the last spike being driven into the ground will be transmitted across the country via telegraph. I procured a telegraph, so we can listen to it here in the mansion. In your condition, you would probably have trouble handling the crowds at the telegraph station, but here you could celebrate in the comfort of your own home. I suppose what I'm saying is, I want to celebrate this with you. I made an arrangement to make that possible for you because I wish to have you there, with me. Would you be willing tomorrow to celebrate the completion of the Pacific Railroad with me? Would you be there at my side? Come on, Arch. No, I dyed everything. Well, I shouldn't say I dyed it. It's a putty gray thing. Please, say something. I want to start over. I threw up a community point thing and it was reached way too quick. I want to start over. I know very well what I've done to you. You may be at fault yourself, but what I did is unacceptable. But what I did was a consequence of my overpowering love for you. I swear it. What are you doing, Arch? Why? Why will you not answer? Say something, anything, please, please. You can hear me in there, can't you? If you don't want to, you can just say no. If you do reject me, I'll set you free. I won't hurt you, I promise. The door is not locked? Who opened it? Hello? A humid spring breeze brushed against his cheeks. The drawn lace curtains appeared to glow in the gentle moonlight. I can see. The white-haired girl was not in her room. Where have you gone? Stupefied, he glanced about his wife's chambers. My eyes, the neatly organized room appeared no different than any other day. But to his eyes, it was pale and hollow, for the one who was supposed to be there, who was supposed to be waiting for him, was not present. He could not hear her voice from anywhere in the shed. In its place echoed a dry rustling, sad, pitiful, empty whisper of noise. It came from the lone object left behind atop her desk, the phenakistoscope. I know, Ghost. Aw. It was the one present Jack had ever given the white-haired girl, a toy made of paper. When spun and viewed in a mirror, it created the illusion of a man and a woman dancing. You still had this? Ridiculous. I assumed you had thrown it out. The white-haired girl had evidently made considerable use of the phenakistoscope. The paper was visibly worn and tattered, warped in places, and even begun to yellow. It spun slowly in the wind, rustling and rustling, spinning in an endless reminder of the day the year before, though there was no longer anyone around to look through it. Why, but you were with other men. Why would you keep something I gave you? It's so worn. Why? A letter? Beneath the ever-rotating phenakistoscope lay a single sheet of paper. As if drawn to it, he scanned the contents of the parchment. It was a letter addressed to Caro mi Jacopo. The salutation, written in his native language, translated as follows. My beloved Jack, did the fruits of your dream turn out as you had hoped? I'm sure it was wonderful and impressively fast. A train that can travel across a continent as large as this is like something out of a story. I wish I could have been there to see it. I'm sure it would have been quite pleasant, like the day you gave me the phenacus whip. Am I being too presumptuous? Sorry. I thought I would keep waiting for you forever, no matter how much you hated or ignored me. I made up my mind, so I'm sorry. I decided I would wait for you until the railroad was completed. I foolishly thought that you might invite me to the opening ceremony, but it seems I am not good enough for you. I'm going to take my leave of your house. You needn't concern yourself with me any longer. However, I do have one request. Please do not forget about all the letters I wrote. Think back on them from time to time. Do not burn them all, for they contain my thoughts, my feelings, my words, a record of my love for you. Remember, when you can, that I was always watching you. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble writing. My ears are ringing. There's a voice whispering to me, calling me a witch. Maybe it's your voice. My vision is blurry, whatever. I'm not even sure what is going through my mind. I'm sorry this was all I was able to write for you. I'm truly sorry. I'll leave the Phenacus wheel behind. It was my dearest treasure. Farewell. Loved you. Oh. 5/8/1869. You missed a lot, Jack wanted to go talk to the white-haired lady, and so they each set like their own in their mind
69, nice.
deadlines because she wanted to leave the white-haired lady, and she ended up leaving a little earlier, as we thought it was going to be the day before. And of course, the whole Maria changing all the letters. What the hell is this? He was visibly rattled, and unsurprisingly so. The mention of the Transcontinental Railroad's opening ceremony. The letter she had written him, her dearest treasure, her profession of love for him, and above all, the mangled text that appeared to have been written by someone not entirely in their right mind. Everything about it served to amplify his befuddlement. You waited for me? How can that be? The joining ceremony is tomorrow. It hasn't happened yet. Why did you have to leave then? I'm here. I came for you just as I planned. The ceremony is on the 10th. A second later, Jack gasped. The date written on the letter was the day prior, May 8th. Originally, the ceremony was planned to be held on May 8th, 1869. However, due to bad weather and a labor dispute, it had been postponed for 2 days. This can't be. I made sure you were informed. I had Maria. Maria? Madam is having an affair. Oh, it's gonna be... Maria, no. You couldn't. Scattered fragments of memory began coming together in his mind. Maria was the only one who had informed him of his wife's supposed unfaithfulness. And though the letters had not been addressed to him, thinking back on it, they had all been about him. In one letter, she mentioned treasuring a gift. Jack had assumed it meant a gift from another man. But in fact, she had been referring to the phenakistoscope sitting on top of her desk, still spinning in the wind. At long last, he finally made that connection. At the same time, he realized that the only person who could have altered the letters was someone they both trusted. Maria. Never. She never even once betrayed me. She was not unfaithful at all. She waited unwaveringly for me. And I refused to believe her. It caused her pain again and again. But his realization came far too late. The whiter girl's spirit had broken. She was no longer at the mansion. Had he caught on Maria's... I don't know how to say that word. Machination? Is it a hard C? Looking it up. Alright. I'm sorry. I didn't know it last time and I don't know it now.
Machination.
Had he caught on to Maria's machinations sooner, things would not have turned out as they had. It comes from the word makinochi, which means great boxer in Japanese. But he was much too late. Maria, why? Why would you do this? Crunching the letter from his wife, Jack stormed out of the shed in search of Maria. Oh yeah, you've seen Ippo a bunch of times too, Ghost. Oh, watching Ippo. I've watched it like three times through now. But she was not in the room assigned to her with buddies. Where are you? Where have you gone? Several maids were roused from their slumber by the racket, but no one had the courage to speak up as the master of the house frantically charged through the halls. Eventually, he arrived at his own chamber. He was certain he had closed the door before leaving, but now a sliver of light shone through a gap between it and the frame. From within the room, he thought he could sense someone's presence. When he opened the door, there he saw, comfortably perched upon his own chair, a woman. I've been waiting, Jack. Oh. Oh, she looks super evil. She looks like the little boy from Game of Thrones. Nice room you got here. Though I guess that's only natural, you being the man of the house and all. All these fancy furnishings. You do know this stuff's too grand for you, right? And then me. I get that barren little maid's room. Drives me up the wall. So hey, Jack. Clear the air with your little lady yet? Maria! I love that look on your face. Guess you didn't make things better then. You know, good and well. She's not even here anymore. Oh yeah, but I still want to hear you say it, you know? I want to hear it from your own mouth. Excuse me. That you couldn't keep a leash on your woman. So you locked her up, drove her mad, broke her down, and then she ran away from you. Go on, say something. Climb back in your high horse and start shouting like you always do. Why, Maria? Why would you do this? Why? Why do you think? Because I fucking despise you. I've been trying to figure out how I wanted to end things, then they just fell apart on their own. Fates are smiling down upon me, I guess. Nonsense. She was waiting for me until the day of the joining ceremony. I was going to see her on that day. You knew the ceremony had been postponed. What do you get for putting it all in my hands? For thinking I'm the only one on your side. What? Did you think I'd just tell her like a good little maid? Not a chance in hell. I mean, it's what you were hired for, lady. I mean, talk about some fantastic news. You both picked the same day. You got the dates different. Absolutely perfect. Maria, is that how you've always felt? How long have you held this grudge against me? How long? How goddamn dense can you be? Must be nice living in your little fancy world, Jack. And this is the next Capo Famiglia? Oh my god, my sides. You've always hated me? At the very least, I fucking loathed you since the minute we had a reunion. At first, I did try to convince myself you had your reasons. Didn't make it feel any less unfair, though. You had all your money and all your power and everything else you stole from me. Then you go and get hitched to this pretty little lady. But don't try to act like you're the victim here. This is all on you. You have any idea how I felt? Fallen from grace, made your goddamn maid having to suck up to you? You have any idea how infuriating that was? Or do you think I didn't know anything? Do you think I didn't suspect anything? If you did, then you got your head way up in the clouds. You're motivated by your grudge against my family? The Berzattis? Precisely, that's exactly it. Your father wanted so badly to be the Capo Familia, wanted so badly to be in power. He murdered my dad and grandpa. You say it was a carriage accident. The ground was all torn to hell where it happened. I don't know what kind of carriage accident causes it to explode. As soon as my dad and grandpa died, your dad took over as Capo Familia. The balance of power in the factions began to change. My family and anyone else with the ties to the Campanellis was either exterminated or exiled. The Berzattis took control of the city. My grandpa's Costco became your Costco. I kind of want to call it Costco, but it's not it. No one in their right mind would be naive enough to think the Berzattis didn't have a hand in that. The great Campanelli family, bitten by their pet dog. The dog had rabies. As a result, in time, that lush, historic land will wither away and die. Uh-oh. I just read it out. Oh, it's okay now. My dad and grandpa, buried in that dried up earth, are screaming in their graves even now. You can't prove me wrong, can you, Jack? And now, first in line to be the next Capo Familia is you, his son. Naturally. Feels pretty good, don't it? Slaughtering my family, leaving us to wallow in the mud. Well, you live here like a fucking king. Because of what your family did. I don't have a home to go back to anymore. No house, no prestige. I have nothing left. And that's goddamn outrageous. The Campanellis are supposed to run that city. But instead, you filthy Berzatti curs are crawling over like some kind of infestation. I'm a legitimate Campanelli. I'm stuck being your goddamn maid. If I hadn't been born a woman, I could have been the Capo Famiglia after my dad and grandpa died. But because I am a woman... Oops. But because I am a woman, I couldn't retaliate. I just had to sit on my hands and watch the tragedy unfold. It was absolutely miserable. But I had to make you suffer as well. I had to make you I had to make you twice as miserable as I was. You had no reason to hate anyone but me. Why did you make her a part of this? Did you have some grudge against her too? Not particularly. I actually rather like the madam. Sweet, pretty, kind-hearted, timid, and fragile. Trusted every word I said. A splendid little toy. Thought of her as your toy? Now, can you really call me out for that? You can't. You have no right. Never cared one bit about anyone else. They're all footstools to you. A little too late to find yourself a sense of morality. This whole thing, it could have been avoided if you two had just had a single conversation. But instead, the both of you come crawling to me saying, "You're my only ally, Maria." How dense can you be? Of course, I thought you were my ally. I trusted you, as I'm sure she did too. You should get your eyes examined because you can't see a damn thing. Maria? My God, it was beautiful. You two blindly trusted me, creating your own misunderstandings and causing your own pain. You could never seem to get on the same page. Watching it all fall apart. Maria, is that everything? The extent of your grudges and all you did? Ah, yep. That's everything. All that's left is for me to kill you. Hold still now. I wouldn't want to miss. Maria, was our past mean nothing to you? Was that oath just an empty promise? How could it, when you remember so clearly? I now explain it for our little romantic boy. Bad grown-ups will even take advantage of good memories. Time I finally return this to you, Jack. That cartridge you gave me, packed with your disgusting sentimentality. Killing you ain't the end, though. All you Berzati curs. I'll send every last one of you straight to hell. My revenge has just begun. Even if you had been a man, you wouldn't have been a suitable capo famiglia. You should have aimed between my eyes, Maria. Jack! Why? Oh, now everyone's dead. Boom! Headshot. In a panic, I pulled the trigger, and from the barrel, a bullet went flying. Quite literally, right between her eyes. Would anyone ever believe me if I said this wasn't how I wanted things to turn out? Rain just keeps coming on. Wonder if it will be able to go home today. Hey, Jack! Say something, you little wuss. Be quiet. You're gonna give me a headache. Lightning's way louder than me. You jump, Jack. You're such a baby. You jump too, and stop calling me that. Don't be scared. Don't cry. I'm not crying. Your eyes are damp too. I'm not crying, not at all. Not one bit. Liar! No end to this rain, is there? I'm fine if it doesn't stop. There's nothing at home for me. You don't want to go home? Your parents don't get along, huh? That's got nothing to do with it. Liar. You've got it good. Everyone loves your grandpa. Whenever anyone needs something, they come to him. Now there's a great man. Huh? How might grandpa become part of this? Oh, no reason. Not everyone likes him. He gets just as much hate as love. He's not really a model citizen. He's mostly just shrewd. Are you jealous? I'm not. My old man is, though. Huh? Is he now? Well, your dad's got his good points too, I think. Like, I don't know. He seems like the kind of man who can accomplish big things. Though he seems a lot stricter than my grandpa. Come on, I don't get you. What are you climbing up for? No reason. If you don't want to go home, then how about we go somewhere far away from here? Huh? Once it stops raining, let's get out of here. Head up to the capital, find some work. We can make it work, the two of us. We could bring Nero, of course. If we could, that would be nice. Break free of the city and its outdated traditions. And somewhere bigger, more forward-thinking. If only it were possible. It's alright, Maria. I know you're just joking. We won't be able to find work anyway. If the two of us ran off, we'd be starving in a month. You'd have to be blind not to see that. Right. Let's go home once the rain lets up.
I like being a naked elf, yeah. There's that.
Once it does. But until then, I know, let's sing. Sing even louder than the lightning, then maybe you'll stop crying. I am not crying. Come on, let's sing. I mean, I 100% would agree with the maid position. Maria, I may not put it into words, but I trust you understand that I consider you a dear friend. Listen to me, Jacopo. My actions were justified. I did what I did for the betterment of this city, this land. The Campanellis are too conservative. Under their control, this country will atrophy. Progress will continue to lose steam. If we don't push forward, we'll fall farther and farther behind. Before long, you'll be made the next Campo Famiglia. Until that day, you will cross over to the New World and establish the Casca there. Unify us, bolster us, make us strong. I'll handle things back here. Won't the Campanellis try and strike back? What? You want Maria to... It's dangerous to keep a Campanelli so close by. It has to be taken care of. If you insist, But do not let your guard down. Betrayal is a constant companion in this world. I'm giving you my revolver. Keep it on you at all times. Glory everlasting upon our blood and upon this earth. The best I can give you is a job as my maid. If I show you any more obvious preferential treatment, the Bearzatis are liable to step in. Money, power, respect, and enough authority to not take orders from anyone. I thought that if I could obtain all of that, I'd be able to give you your freedom, and her as well. I want to give you both comfortable lives. But none of that got through to either of you. Everything slipping through my fingers. Her love, my friendship with Maria, both of their smiles. Maria's smile was a little crazy at times, I won't lie. Master? What was that sound? So much blood. Maria? What happened this time? You keep getting stuck witnessing the worst things. What? Call a doctor. Someone with tight lips. Do not call the police. And don't make a scene. Got it? If so, then go on. Yes, sir. Getting real tired of getting shot and stabbed. Right. Not everything has slipped from my grasp. My money and influence are all that's left. That is what you wanted, though, is it not? You sought money and power, no? Aren't you going to go? Yes, I will. But first I would like to ask you something. What do you intend to do from here? What am I going to do? Exactly the same as before. There is but one thing for me to do. I see. Will you eventually find solace in your riches? The way I see it, money and power can be your ally. They can become your enemy in the blink of an eye. If you do not put them into words, your feelings will never make it through to anyone. For unlike money, humans are not measurable by their appearance. He failed to communicate to anyone what he held within his breast. He was chained down by his place in society, his pride, his relationships, and his own heart. At some point, he found himself in a position where he was no longer able to speak his mind. After enough time, he likely forgot how to be genuine at all. Or perhaps someone like him simply would not, even if they knew how. In any event, there are many things in this world that cannot be communicated without being put into words. How sad that his tale should end without him expressing how he truly felt. How hard it must have been to never clear up his misunderstandings. After Jack's confrontation with Maria, the Pacific Railroad was completed, as scheduled. Celebratory cheers shook the new world as the last spike was driven into the rails. Jack, however, could not even manage to smile listening to the telegraph. I'm sure you can guess as to why. The people with whom he wished to share the moment were not there. Shortly following her death, Jack held a private funeral for Maria. Then he commenced a search for the white-haired girl. But he did not do so alone. He hired others to help, did everything in his powers to find her, tirelessly searching for many, many years. However, he was never able to locate her, and he spent the remainder of his life alone. Money, power, renown, servants. The world around him was always quite lively, but solitude was his only companion. He waited and waited and waited for the white-haired girl to return. The years crawled by, and with no family or loved ones at his side to care for him in old age, he died alone. This wasn't the happiest of chapters. I know. I don't want to do any more doors. I think I'm happy with this amount of doors we've done so far. We're going back to Rhapsody. The doors before you slowly drew shut. You could no longer hear the raucous sounds of the men from within the den. The faint scent of cigarette smoke, however, lingered in the air. Staring vaguely at the closed door, you noticed something was amiss. Maid, who had been holding your hand, was no longer at your side. You glanced around, but she was nowhere in sight. Down the corridor stretched only darkness. Not having anticipated this, you were unsure how to react. What's the matter? You lost? You're just trying to take in the sights. A voice called out to you, but it was not the maid's voice. Caught off guard, you spun around. Used in search of the source. Where are you looking? Over here. Yeah, there you go. More to the left. Following the voice's instructions, you found yourself facing a wall. You look like you've just seen a ghost. Hey now, come on, don't turn away. Yep, you got it. I'm the one talking to you. Voice is coming from within the painting. You had passed by this wall on your way to the third door. The magnificent landscape painting had been hanging there. Now the canvas was a deep shade of black, as if it had been dipped into a vat of ink. Been a while since I've talked to anyone. So tell me, you can hear me all right, can't you? Splendid. Been so long since I've had a conversation, I was afraid I might have forgotten how to talk. Tell me, who might you be? You don't know. Well, isn't that quite the pickle?
69, nice.
How about we have a little chat, eh? Get yourself turned around and aren't sure where to go, yeah? We'll be happy to tell you anything I can, just ask away. The painting sounded rather high-spirited, and we'll find out what the painting wants to tell us after this. Quick commercial break. I'll grab that in a moment, thank you. A lot of twos. Excuse me for a moment, please. Let me grab myself some more drink.
Thank you.
Oh, good God.
But he's all super hard. Which is awesome. Although now I sat on mine. There we go. The painting sounded rather high-spirited. Perhaps he was simply excited to have the opportunity to speak with someone. So you would decide you would ask the painting a few questions. I want to know them all. I'll just go in order. You. Me? Well, as you can see, I'm a painting. Why'd I end up as a painting? Hard to say. Maybe I was reborn as a painting because I used to really like art. Though there are things I painted that I wish I hadn't. Maybe that regrets what turned me into this. Will I get the chance to apologize to him about that? Anywho, no point in getting into any more detail than that. It wouldn't mean anything to you, so enough about me. Right, you don't know anything about yourself. A shame that. Alright then, I have a favor for you, since you can't tell me about yourself. If you run into him, could you tell him I really regret what I did? I should tell myself, but, no, as you can see, stuck here, can't move an inch. I gotta ask for help. I feel absolutely terrible about painting that picture. I know, yeah, the deadline's way past on that one, but that's what makes it regret, yeah? Because you can't take it back. By the time I had realized, it was too late. He was already dead. He's long since passed away. Huh? How are you supposed to give a dead fellow a message? Well, for all you know, the dead could be wandering these halls too. So please, if you could come across him, tell him that I said that. I didn't mean any harm with that painting. Or maybe you are him. Alright, who am I? Just because you don't know who you are doesn't mean you can go around asking other people. I'm not a person, you say? Well, no, you're right, but I'm not going to know anything about you that you can't tell me yourself. I mean, from where I'm standing, you almost look like a walking cloud of a shadow. I can't even tell you what you look like. Maid, who was with you before, did she call you master? Yeah, but the question is, which era's master are you? How many doors have you been through? 3 doors, eh? And of those, did any of them bring anything back? Well, that's not an easy thing, recovering yourself. Or maybe you weren't behind any of those 3 doors. Yeah, it's gotta be it. And thank you, Ildon, for the 10 million. Crazy. It was your first time witnessing these tragedies. Yours is another door. So tell me, how'd you feel looking behind those doors? Was it frightening, saddening, heart-wrenching? Well, let me tell you something. You're able to bear them because they weren't your tragedies. If the next door you open is yours, will you be able to bear it? Will you be able to accept your own tragedy? It's one thing seeing others suffer, but your own? You have to face emotions you wanted to keep buried, hurts you wanted to keep hidden away, the pain you wanted to forget. Do you think you'll be able to accept them as your own? If you can't, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't accuse you of running if you chose not to reclaim your old self. I remember erasing your memory of something if it was so bad you didn't want to face it in the first place. Let it be rewritten as someone else's story. That'll make it a whole lot easier on you. Because you never know. Carbonell? Carbon. Thank you for the follow. The most unfortunate tale of all may well be your own. Or perhaps that goes for everything about you. You won't know until you see it. Well, that's true enough. But once you do, there might not be any turning back. You mean to reclaim your old self no matter the cost? If you do, if you're sincerely prepared to do that, then be wary of the tale that comes next. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that, a fabrication. If it turns out you're someone from behind the next door, then perhaps you're my... Please. Oh, talk about some hard-hitting questions. We're not the one who'll be able to answer that for you. I don't have a very deep connection with this mansion, you see. I swear, I got nothing to gain from lying, do I? It's my regrets that have turned me into this. I wasn't summoned here by no one. That said, there is one thing I can tell you. They summons people. People who have ties to something that happened long, long ago. No one knows anything ever happened. I didn't know either, till she told me. Though I haven't the foggiest how much of it's true or not. Are you here because you were summoned by her? Or did you come here on your own will to find someone? If you came here on your own volition and you weren't summoned by her, then mayhaps you'll be the one who can break. Might as well ask her that directly. She won't say till you regained your old self? I see. Well, in that case, if you want to know, you know what you gotta do. It's entirely up to you whether you make an ally or an enemy out of her. There's no guaranteeing she's even right in the head. You never know. Maybe you're not the only one who hasn't found themselves. I haven't talked that much in a long time. Feels great. Now that I've got that out of my system, I should be able to get some good sleep. You're probably still wandering in the dark right now, but I really hope you find the outcome you want. And I mean that. You can either reclaim your old self or you can toss it aside. The choice is yours, either way. Now, since it looks like your escort isn't showing up, what do you plan to do next? Well, taking a look around the place, since you've got a little free time. Could be you've come across things you wouldn't with her around. Alright, if you're gonna go exploring, I've got the perfect thing. Stick your hands in the canvas, would you? The painting was still wrapped in the impenetrable darkness, perfect all-consuming void. I had told you to put your hand into it. I don't want to. No. I refuse. You did not reach into the painting. You were not interested in being swallowed up by darkness that could lead you anywhere. If you don't want it, so be it. I'm not going to force you to take it. What waits ahead of you will probably not be pleasant. If you think of it as someone else's pain, that should take a little weight off. Oh well. I probably should have grabbed it. And with that, the painting fell silent. Had you made the correct decision? After considering for a few moments, you decided to explore the mansion on your own. Oh. Let's go see the window. You approached the stained glass window. The right pews were arranged facing stained glass. On the left side, there seemed to be an air of tranquility about the room. You sat down in one of the pews and stared quietly forward for some time. For a moment, you felt like you were on the verge of recalling something, but ultimately the memory never managed to surface. The maid did not appear there. Where could she have gone? You decided to resume exploring the mansion. Where do we want to go next? Go see the rose garden. I did make a save there. At the two choices, I'll have saves just in case. Your head's covered in roses. Oh, got petals on the book. This isn't mine. I can't afford to. You could hear the sound of children laughing. You could not see them. Regardless, their cheerful voices warmed your heart. You decided to linger there in the garden for some time. Along with the children's laughs wafted a sweet fragrance. The wind blew whisking flower petals up into the air. An enchanting sight. After a while, the roses began to wilt. You no longer hear the children's voices either. The young man stood alone in the withered rose garden. As you drew nearer, you called out to the youth. The young man did not appear to notice you. He merely stood there, staring vacantly across the garden. The young muttered something in a lifeless voice. This isn't what I wanted. I just wanted a normal, peaceful life. I can't bear it being alone. I can't take this. Someone, get me out of here. God, tell me that I'm not the bad one here. You tried to call to the young man several times, but he did not seem to hear you. He simply continued muttering to himself. Before long, the youth's shadow faded into nothing. Unable to bear the chilly air any longer, he stepped back into the mansion. Didn't do too well. Maybe the den? Oh, that's this one. The scent of cigarette smoke lingered in the den. However, the room was silent. Not even an echo of the man's chattering remained. There was movement. Billiard balls. There was no one present to strike the balls. They rolled spontaneously around the table. The paths they traced across the surface were rough and erratic, contrasting that when the former master had held the cue. The spheres collided awkwardly with one another, not a single coming close to the pockets. As an experiment, you pulled the ball off the table. In response, the path of the ball became even clumsier. Having lost one of their targets, it began bouncing aimlessly off the cushioned walls of the table. As you stared intensely at the table, a man's voice rang out from somewhere in the room. Turning around, you saw a silhouette of a man. However, you could not make out what the man was saying. The man thrust his finger at the table. He appeared to want you to return the ball. You walked and placed the billiards ball back on the table. When you did, the balls resumed endlessly colliding with one another, never landing in any of the pockets. You walked up to find the shadow gone. Having determined that the maid was not going to appear in the den, you exited the room, making your way back into the corridor. Oh. Let's go to the cellar. Shit, now I really think I should have reached into that painting. When you descended into the cellar, you heard beast-like snarling. Along with it came a sour odor and the sound of ripping flesh. You could not see the beast. It didn't make it any less unpleasant. You made the retreat from the cellar. But before you could, a shadowy creature lunged at you. You reflexively squeezed your eyes shut. After several moments, you opened your eyes again to find a silhouette of a man standing in place of the beast. You and the shadow stared at one another for some time. You asked the shadow a question, and the shadow responded. However, you had no idea what it said. The shadow seemed to be trying to communicate something to you, but trying to make sense of something you could not understand was pointless. Having no reason to remain in the cellar any longer, you made your way back upstairs. Is this the little doggo fireplace? Oh, no, it's not. You made your way to the room with the fireplace. What remained of the fire crackled weakly, leaving the room in a veil of darkness. You remembered that you had awoken here. Out of sheer curiosity, you sat down in the rocking chair you had been asleep in. It was as soothing as a cradle to a baby, and in short order you found your conscience drifting from your grasp. You fell asleep? Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes you feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's what troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. Such a cynic. That's okay. Say, you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Thanks, Dolphin. Your eyes slowly slid open. Fragments of a pleasant dream lingered in the back of your mind. The crackling of a fire, the taste of warm wine, where there was nothing pleasant about the fireplace sitting before you. No warm, crackling flames. In fact, the brisk air of the room overpowered the remnants of embers left there. A chill ran down your spine. Afraid you might freeze stiff if you stayed there much longer, you resumed your exploration of the mansion. Let's go get our book learning on. The smell of dusty books filled the air of the library. You approached the shelf to examine one of the books, and suddenly an avalanche of them came falling down on the floor. You stared blankly at the mountain of books. They had fallen down on their own, but they showed no signs of putting themselves away. Since no one else was there to do it, you began placing the books back on the shelf. 1, 2, 3, a dozen, and so as soon as you had gotten them all back up, they came crashing back down again. You wished very much to implore of the maid's assistance, but she did not appear to be in the area. Pretending you had not seen anything, you made your way back into the hallway. They were like that when I got there. The master bedroom. The door was locked. You gave up getting into the room and decided to go elsewhere. I'm gonna not overthink it because that goddamn painting was gonna give me the master bedroom key. You made your way to the mansion's entrance. There was no one around, nor any source of light. Groping through the darkness, you found the front door, which was sealed shut by a heavy bar. You pressed against the bar, but it remained firmly in place. The door did not budge either. It seemed you could not leave the mansion. Burn the witch! Crucify the impure! When you made to step away from the entrance, you heard a muffled voice. You look around, but you were unable to determine the source of the voice. Nor could you be sure whom you had heard either. Giving up on finding anything at the entrance, you decided to head somewhere else. I thought we already did this. Well, let's go see it again. You returned to the room with the stained glass window. You searched throughout the mansion but had no finding the maid. You felt somewhat tired, though you were not quite sure whether it was physical exhaustion or otherwise. You had little interest in doing any more moving about. Taking a seat in one of the pews, you gazed up at the stained glass. Staring solemnly down back at you was the archangel said to weigh the souls of the deceased. Perhaps he was trying to weigh your soul. Master? Master? Oh, there you are, Master. You gave me quite the scare. After returning from the third door, you disappeared without a word. My, it was I who disappeared? That's quite strange. I can't go anywhere as far as I am aware. Nevertheless, I'm glad to have found you. I would have been at a complete loss for what to do if you had been separated from me yet again. I did indeed say that when we first arrived. I have been waiting for your return for a very long time. For centuries, as a matter of fact. That would make me a ghost, then, you say? Very much not a ghost. Would I be able to hold your hand if I were? Saying this, the maid took your hand. It was cold enough to send a shudder down your spine and completely devoid of life. Ghostess has very cold hands, okay? Though as chilling as it may have been, you still felt comfort in the feeling of her hand in yours. Maid looked down at you with gentle eyes. For a few moments of silence, she sat down beside you. The stained glass is quite beautiful, is it not? Every time I see it, it brings tranquility to my heart. A dreadful, deep-rooted curse afflicts this mansion. However, this room is the one exception. Can you feel the purity that hangs in the air, Master? Yes, what is it, Master? You are correct. The stained glass window has been shattered, and was not present in the time period of the previous tale. I wonder. Perhaps it is because the mansion we are in presently resides in a realm separate from the real world. We are in a world constructed from myriad memories and histories. I am sure that when you regain your old self, Master, the mansion shall be restored to its original state. Do try and remember, alright? Oh yes. Go in my absence, Master. I see. So you explored the mansion then. Did you find anything noteworthy? Memory? Not quite sure what you mean. Secure. As the servant of this mansion, I pride myself in being aware of almost everything present within these walls. I wonder whose memories they could be. Now, that was a nice break. We should get moving. The tale I'm about to show you is the last of the mansion's memories. I'm sure you will remember yourself after seeing it. 4 feet. The final door is not far. Oh, is there only one more door? Please do not let go of my hand. Hold your hand, the maid led you to the far end of the room. Crossing beneath the stained glass window, a metal door came into view. The destination lies at the top of these stairs. There we'll find the last door. She wasn't doing a great job of that. She pushed open the metal door, revealing a long, long spiral staircase. I would have been like, you know, hey Maria, why do you have a gun? Why does everyone have guns? It'll be a bit of a walk, so let us be on our way, and please do watch your step. This is called an observation tower. Normally towers such as this were built in castles or churches. It is rather strange for there to be one in a mansion. The last door I wish to show you, Master, resides at the top of this tower. I mean, I think the whole concept of a mansion is pretty much uniqueness, isn't it? Are people cookie cuttering like mansions everywhere? Rectangular windows were carved out of stone in several locations along the way up the spiral staircase. You attempted to peer out of one of the windows, but all you could see was a thick layer of fog. I'm like, I'm building my mansion, and they're like, yeah, no, you can't do a spiral staircase. Pretty sure I'm going to be doing it. Perhaps the maid's suggestion that the mansion did not presently reside in reality was, in fact, correct. Oh, Ghost, moats are so out of style right now. Sorry, buddy, we can't do that. Best we can do is a viewing pond. Pool. With each step forward, you found yourself gripped by an indescribable sense of anxiety. The feeling somewhat resembled irritation or annoyance. Sensing this, the maid tightly gripped your hand. There's nothing to worry about. You will be fine. It is all in the past. No matter what may happen, as long as you do not let go of my hand, you have nothing to fear. There was a zombie beaver. That might be a movie. There's like a zombie beaver movie. I know because I showed, we watched Velocipaster. It was actually pretty funny. It was a pretty good movie. I mean, it's only an hour and 10 minutes, so it's not like it's a big struggle bus to watch that stuff. Because I was talking to my mom about goofy movies that we watched. And, we watched Teeth last night, which is basically a women's nether region biting off the male's nether region. It was a horrible movie. And I was very confused. And it was not a good movie. Up and up, around and around, marching even nearer the supposed final door. Em watched very odd movies as a child. High up into the tower, as the light from below drew distant, a round wood door came into view. Well, don't ever be sorry about that. That's something that needs to be apologized for. Patches of what appeared to be blood stained the surface, and holes had been bored into with sharp objects of some sort. Goofy movies are, always fun to check out. Love watching B movies. Although I gotta say, Teeth was probably like a B- or a C. Somehow below that. Not even possible to be that kind. It is. You heard a scream far below, where no one should have killed the witch. Burn the witch! You were struck with fear. The next moment, the maid opened the door. And then you slowly descended into darkness. We got another door. It got better. Man. Huh. Alright. Save this in another slot. Set on a pot. Set it on. And also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it. Even every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder. Fill it with the choice bones. Salt. Eat the choice of the flock and burn also the bones under it. And make it boil well. And then let them see the bones of it therein. Thus saith the Lord. Woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, and let no lot fall upon it. Where is she? Where'd she go? She came down this way, I'm sure of it. Find her, and burn her. Burn the witch. Get it. We get the gist, guys. Then will I weave thee upon the land, will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee. I will fill the beasts of the whole earth within thee. I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with thy height. Also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountain. And the rivers shall be full of thee. And I shall put thee out will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land. I seem to have lost them. Now where am I? Where should I go from here? What am I to do? Darkness spreads as far as the eye can see. Not a ray of light shines down upon me. All that strokes my cheeks are tendrils of darkness. Every passing day, every fading hour, my world is engulfed in ebony. There exists no kindness in this shadow, only solitude. I've lost track of how long I've been on the run, wandering aimlessly, lost, until I arrived at this dark forest. I no longer have anywhere to go. O Father, who art in heaven, I kneel to thee within my heart and ask thee thy blessing. Father, who art in heaven, I ask thee to shine thy light upon me and show me the way. Please have mercy upon my soul. I do love thee dearly. Hallowed be thy name. Please show me the way. I may be shunned and persecuted, and I may have no place to go, but nevertheless I am unable to give up on life and cast aside my hope. Please guide me onto salvation. Please guide me. I can no longer remember when my life became naught but running. When it became endless wandering in the dark, and now, when I have reached the point where I have long since forgotten my hunger and thirst, my voice has become hoarse, my vision gone blurry, my consciousness begun sinking into a hazy morass. And the mansion appears before me, wrapped in morning fog that seems to foretell rain. Are we short here now? Oh my. The mansion comes into view like the world fading in after a dream. It doesn't appear as though anyone lives here. All the windows are either boarded up or shuttered, as if it's long since been abandoned. The tower, which seems out of place in personal residence, stands tall beside the mansion. The whole building seems as though it could disappear with the fog. It has been an unwelcoming presence for me in my tracks. However, if this is where you have led me, I shall follow your guidance. Having nowhere else to go, this mansion is my only salvation, the light that guides my way. And so I must have faith that no matter what I find, whether spirits or wild beasts dwell within these walls, that this is where I will find peace. Is anyone there? I guess it is abandoned. That makes sense. It would be more unusual for someone to be living in a house so deep in the woods, so far from civilization, like it's been forgotten to time. Can't imagine anyone spending their days here. I place my hand on the front door. What if I can't get in? I very much doubt I'll find anywhere else to stay wandering through the woods. If the door doesn't open, then I'll die out here in the forest. I've come to accept much, but I'm not ready to forfeit my life yet. Open. The door is heavy, and though it seems to protest my attempts to enter, it still opens much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. I mean, come on, you could have found a way somewhere. Looking at it, I get the strangest impression light is being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. Rather than going inside, it feels as though I'm about to step outside the boundaries of this world. When I close the door, it's so dark I can't even tell where I'm walking. I wonder if the window's open. Though I manage to fumble my way over to a window, it's slightly shuttered, and the shutters are caked with rust. Exactly, this is until dawn. I'm probably not getting it open without a fight. I only had some source of light. I can even see my hand waving in front of my face. It is everyone's dead. I'm sorry, guys. It feels like the floor will fall out from under me and I'll sink into eternal darkness if I don't watch my step. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walk forward, tracing the wall with my hand. There's a door at the end of a long corridor. I pull it open and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushes past me. It's too dark to see anything, but I can feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness grips me. Is anybody here? My voice simply disappears into the void. No response. As I'm pushing forward through the freezing air for a split second, I spot a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I am able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it's not shuttered, but covered by drapes. My chances are slim, I imagine. But if there's even a slight possibility of getting sunlight in here, worth a shot. I pull open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shines down on me. So it's here now in the past, but not in the future? Who stole my window? It's a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I can hear a subtle pitter-patter of rain. A lot of forism. I guess it finally started. The different colors of light blend into a milky white, dim but wondrous. Just once I can cover this up, it's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes or the windows. Suddenly I hear a voice. I can sense someone else in the room. The man's voice is emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long, he comes into view, illuminated by dull orange candlelight. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited. I did announce myself. The man stands there, practically blending in with the darkness. Has he been there the whole time? He's staring straight at me. Gaze wavers slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. The candle in his hand and the light from the stained glass window are the only illumination in the room, neither of which are particularly bright. As a result, his outline is faint and blurred. It gives off the impression that he might vanish entirely between blinks. My apologies, I assumed the house was abandoned. I suspect you would have preferred it to be abandoned. Yeah, we did this already. Not at all. Is this, do you live in this mansion? Yes, I have for a very long time. I thought I had barred the front door, but it seemed I only left it open. What brings you here? If you're lost, I'm happy to give you directions. There is a village west of here. It should take you maybe half a day on foot. Take a couch with you. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some furniture. Trade it for food at the village, then make your way to a larger town. Please allow me to stay here. Could you repeat that? I cannot go to the village. No, I cannot go anywhere. We're taking the couch. First thing I saw, I made up my mind. I'm no longer able to freely return to any town. I'm being hunted. You seem rather young to be a sinner. You have transgressed. I am neither a thief nor an adulterer. If I bear any sin, then it has been with me since birth. I will do everything I can to stay out of your way. I simply ask that you grant me shelter until it all blows over. If you wish to know my transgression, I will tell you. But please, do not throw me out. See, and do you ask this of me aware of how people refer to this mansion? Pardon? It is said that a witch once lived in this house. And not just any witch, a cursed witch. This house has been tainted by her seething hatred, and all who dwell within it meets their demise. But you live here, don't you? Like her, I too am cursed. Huh? What kind of curse? I'm gonna make so many noodles tonight. Thought about it, I still have my bacon wrapped pork loin. I have bok choy. The one thing I can tell you is that your life is in danger if you get involved with me. If you approach my curse, I am likely to take your life. You'll kill me? Yes. You do not belong here. With me in this mansion is to sentence yourself to death. Can we have an umbrella? No matter what path I choose, I very much doubt I have a future. And if that's the case, then I shall live how I want. I don't care what people say about you or this man. I wish to stay here. You might think I'm rather strange, but my heart tells me that I must stay here. that I was guided here. And hearing what you have to say only reinforces that. What are you scheming? I'm not scheming anything. I'm simply tired of running. So if your curse is going to kill me, perhaps that's for the best. At the very least, you won't be hunting me. You won't try to flay me or tear off my arms or rip the flesh from my bones. And that's enough for me. That's what I like. It's like, set your expectations low. If you have committed a sin, then why do they hunt you so fervently? I am accused of being a witch. Master, Master, please wake up. Return to me. Have you come to, Master? I apologize for sending you through the door without warning. It must have been quite the scare. Well, that was a fast door. But I beg your forgiveness. I heard a terrible screaming from down the stairs and I panicked. You say you saw the white-haired girl? See, so you made it into the world beyond the door before me. I am deeply relieved that I was able to take your hand before losing sight of you. I presume you have already grown familiar with the atmosphere of this time period, Master. If you have seen her, as you said, then you should have a basic grasp of the situation. It was a very misfortunate girl in this era, accused of being a witch, abused, and persecuted. I mean, when was she wasn't? She was never doing great in any era so far. She got scalped in one, she got stabbed in the other, and they made her live in the hut. Her life was in constant danger. It was again her appearance that brought this upon her. That snow-white hair and those ruby-red eyes clearly differentiated her from everyone else. Oh, and I apologize. I neglected to mention that this door is unique. As for what sets it apart, that will be made clear as we proceed. The one difference is in the time period. The tales I have shown you began with that of the beautiful flaxen-haired family, followed by the tale of the bloodthirsty beast, and then the tale of steel and ambition, proceeding in chronological order. However, the door we have just entered takes us to the period now known as the Middle Ages, long, long before the other three tales. Yes, that is correct. This is where it all began. The mansion's curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity. There's like 2 expansions for this game, or 2 DLC things. I wonder if they're just more doors. Like, I didn't look them up because I don't want to spoil the stuff, you know? Because you always know it's going to be, the DLC is going to be like, oh, you know, after you find out that the maid was the white-haired person all along, you can now travel to her past. Which I'm not saying that's the least likely. The mansion curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity, all of this should be made known. I don't know. I honestly do not know. I just know it's relatively recently released, which is kind of crazy. This game came out in 2012. And they just released like another expansion thingy. If after this tale you are still unable to reclaim your old self, then there is nothing more I can do. I think that's where I grabbed the white lily from one of the expansion things. And I grabbed some butterflies which I just spun and cleaned up and put them on the lilies, so. This door contains the last tale I am able to tell you. I ask you, please do not let go of my hand until it is all over. And then the background is a Monet painting. One of the many lily ones, which I changed the color of. Now then, let us begin a beautiful, tragic love story of 2 solitary souls trapped in a mansion of darkness. In that era, the mansion was a dungeon draped in darkness. After a great deal of time on the run, the white-haired girl found herself in a remote mansion that stood in a dark, overgrown forest. All the windows were either boarded or shuttered, and it was even darker inside the house than out.
Well, then don't get your fingers all the way in, duh.
Not even a ray of moonlight could enter those walls. Only naturally, the white-haired girl had assumed that nobody lived there. But her guess was incorrect. Someone did, indeed, dwell in the house. It was a young man named Michael. She could not make out the details of his face in the candlelight. She thought him a very handsome man. However, he proclaimed to her that a witch resided within the mansion, and that he too was cursed. Everyone who got close to him lost their lives. You think that was what he told her was all nonsense? A lie devised to chase her out of the house? The truth of the matter shall come to light in time. Don't tease me, Maid. Don't be a tease, Ghost. Despite Michael's assertions, the white-haired girl decided she would take up residence within the mansion. This era's white-haired girl was younger than the others. She was still in her early teens, young enough to be seen as still a child. But she was neither as self-centered nor irresponsible as you might expect of someone her age. She was very delicate and reserved, and acted with a great deal of modesty and restraint. Accusations of her being a criminal and a sinner were grossly inappropriate. Nevertheless, she was still chased from her home, barely managing to flee to this mansion with her life. Now the white-haired girl thought it would be rude to simply take up space in the mansion, so she chased down the master Michael and asked, is there anything I can do to help? Just said that she was going to stay out of his way. I'll clean or cook or do anything, just let me know. I want to repay you for allowing me to stay here. You need not feel indebted to me. The weight of that obligation will only turn into disdain. But I can't just stay here and do nothing. Do whatever you like. As long as you do not enter my room. That is all I ask of you. He said emotionlessly, turning away and walking off. Michael was not, I believe, spurning her. He was merely disinterested. He did not treat her disrespectfully, nor did he seem averse to her presence. Words simply did not seem to affect him at all. Not only was the mansion a prison for his body was also a prison ensnaring his heart. I should still do whatever I can, but she did not let that get her down. In fact, she might have even interpreted his disinterest as kindness. Though he was a bit standoffish, he did not attempt to cause her harm. He was nothing like the people that accused her of being a witch and forced her to flee for her life. He was deeply grateful for that. This is Michael's shag pad. It says right on the door. Can't you read? Thus began their quiet life together. Michael, who avoided contact with others, and the whiter girl, who had taken a great deal of abuse from others. People who hardly knew anything about who knew hardly anything about one another, who were too distant to really be said to be living together. Michael spent most of his day in his chambers, so they only ever saw each other on occasionally, and they hardly ever spoke. Though they stayed in the same house, they both still lived solitary lives. Nonetheless, the whiter girl wanted to get to know Michael better. Wanted to know why he called himself cursed. Why he lived alone in the dark mansion. How many days, how many years he had spent here in solitude. And while she waited for the opportunity, she also started doing things around the house. The first project she set out to take care of was cleaning. As the windows were all firmly shut, her only source of light was candles. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. I wondered where on earth he had acquired so many, but she never found the opportunity to ask him. It was difficult to even see all the dust and cobwebs with only candlelight, and considering the poor airflow through the house, she was afraid her efforts were going to be in vain. So she persisted, sweeping and wiping things down one room at a time. Eventually she made her way to the library. The dust that had settled there was much heavier than in any other room. With each breath, she had to fight back coughs. It was not a room one would normally be comfortable spending much time in. The sight of so many bulky volumes lying on the shelves sent her heart aflutter with delight. They're books. Incredible, real books. Remember, this is well before the 1600s. The white-haired girl had never seen a book before. She had heard people describe them, but that was the first time she had ever seen one for herself. Parchment was a very valuable commodity in that era. It was something monks or scholarly priests made use of, and not a material one could easily acquire without some degree of social rank. Books were not printed with machines, but copied by hand. A single volume took an incredible amount of work to create. Even the process of binding was an art. Standing before a shelf, she stared intently at the spines. There's so much dust. Does he really not read any of them? Just a peek, just a tiny little peek, she said, making excuses to the empty room as she reached her hand towards one of the books. The tome that caught her eye was on the upper shelf. It bore gorgeous jade embossing. It looked like it belonged in a treasure chest. almost. Though she tended to act older than her age, the white girl was still in her early teens and not especially tall. Even standing tiptoe, it was still just barely within her reach. And at long last, her slender fingers made contact with the spine. She began to pull the book towards her. The library had sat abandoned for some time, causing the covers to stick together. And when she attempted to pull one out, several others tilted with it. And then, almost all the books on the shelf came avalanching down onto her. The white girl groaned, buried under a mountain of parchment. She hoped she had not damaged any of her host's valuable collection. The mess was enough of a setback already in her attempt to express her gratitude. Looking around, she saw one volume that was almost torn in half. I didn't know whether it was in the condition before or if it had happened in the fall, but nonetheless, she felt horribly guilty. Sitting there, my beard is like so stiff. Sitting there, unable to get back to her feet, tears began welling in her eyes. Then suddenly a shadow fell from over the dejected girl. It took a book in its hand and returned it to the shelf. For a brief moment, the shadow's hand reached hesitantly towards the white-haired girl, then changed course towards another book. It was Michael. There was a hint of perplexity in his otherwise emotionless eyes. Perhaps he had heard the noise and come to see what had caused it. I'm so sorry. Your books. Doing? I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make a mess. I didn't mean to damage your precious books. There's no need to panic. Sorry. You make it sound as though I am admonishing you. What? Did you want to read a book? I do, but that's not what I originally came here to clean. Clean? Yeah, I felt guilty, simply being idle. I did say you could do as you pleased. You have no responsibility to clean anything. I just ended up making a bigger mess anyway. I'm sorry. You needn't apologize. Okay. Sorry. If you want to read, help yourself to any of the books. I don't know how to read. I just thought the cover was pretty, so I wanted to hold it. You're free to use them however you wish. If looking at them is enough for you, by all means. These are all your books, aren't they? They are. It's incredible. You have so many. It must have taken you a long time to acquire them all. 1 per month. What? My family sends me 1 every month. Every month? The white girl turned her gaze back towards the shelves, squinting her eyes and began to count. When she finished, she was in awe. There were in excess of 100 books on the shelves, which meant he had lived here in solitude for many years. He was at a loss for words. Their dull tones, dreadfully inoffensive and not even interesting enough to waste a few hours with. Decoration is all they're good for. I see. If you can put them to some use, then perhaps my having them won't be entirely meaningless anymore. I'm going to return to my room. I don't feel obligated to clean up. Just a minute. Was there something else? Could you tell me your name? I just realized I never asked for your name. Not knowing what to call you will make conversations awkward. You don't need my name too. I want to, though. Michael. Like the Archangel. The name suits you quite well. It suits me? It does, although it's difficult to see you in the dark. You seem to be a very handsome man, befitting of your name. I beg to differ. Giving me his name is the highest form of mockery. I expect the real Archangel is probably rather annoyed by it. I don't know. I think it's a wonderful name. And you are... Oh, and your... My name? No, never mind. Oh, my name? My name is... Giselle. Please call me Giselle. Well, thank goodness. How do we know Giselle? For what? I was able to get your name and talk to you for a little bit.
Well, I won't tell you what my, computer desktop background is, but, you know.
We haven't seen much of each other since I first arrived, so I'm glad that I got to hear your voice. Very glad. You gain nothing by speaking to me. You have no responsibility to do so, and there is no need for you to feel joy about it.
Wait! I beg of you!
I'm not pleased out of some sense of responsibility or necessity. It's just depressing, not being able to have a conversation with someone living in the same house. You don't understand me at all. As I said on the first day, my curse will one day kill you. But I'm still living, aren't I? You're welcome to believe I'm lying, or that I'm merely out of my mind. But it will be too late when you realize the truth. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Even if I do die because of your curse, I promise I won't hold a grudge. Would you possibly be keeping away from me out of concern? No, I simply have no interest in interacting with anyone. I would like to interact with you, if you don't mind, that is. As I told you, you have nothing to gain from that. I have nothing, not even words, to give you. My body is but a shell. If I were not cursed, my presence would do naught but cause you discomfort. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that there's anyone in this world with absolutely nothing. There's plenty inside of you, you simply haven't noticed it yet. And not all of it will only cause others pain, either. If you truly believe those words, then you are a foolhardy girl. How can you trust someone you only just met? For that matter, how do you not resent everyone? Resent them? I can take a guess as to why the people call you a witch, and why you had to flee all the way to this mansion. Your white hair and red eyes. That abnormal, seemingly inhuman appearance drew their condemnation. I can think of any number of reasons they might have started treating you less than human. Perhaps people around you experienced misfortune, or perhaps there was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague, some kind of external phenomenon, and you were their scapegoat. Yes, you are, by and large, correct. And that would make me as unworthy of your trust as anyone else. I make no claim to having your interest in mind. Bye. Don't mind, could you teach me how to read sometime? Did you listen to anything I said? I listened, yes. I have no intention of idolizing you. I don't expect you to do anything for me, and I don't wish to burn you in any way. I simply wish to be allowed to be at your side. It doesn't matter to me what kind of person you may be. That's all I want. I apologize for keeping you. Please consider it if it's not too much trouble. The master of the house, Michael, made his way out of the library. He appeared to be slightly rattled. Perhaps the waiter girl's determination had ignited something in his chained heart. Perhaps it was something else. He stared toward the darkness into which Michael had disappeared. She carefully wrapped her arms around the jade-embossed tome, a soft smile spreading across her lips. He's a decent man, I'm sure of it. We're alike, he and I. Most trusting girl ever. And thus began to blossom within her a faint sense of fellowship as someone who also knew solitude. Well, stream is a better place now. Or whatever a sad GE is. It had been about a week since the white-haired girl had taken up residence in the mansion. Staying in that house deprived of light was, I imagine, a very claustrophobic experience. Anyone blessed enough to have sunlight as a part of their everyday lives, it would have been unbearable. For the mansion, with its prison wall and lack of either illumination or recreation, was the one place she could find respite. Michael continued to be distant, however. He spent most of his time in his chambers, which he had especially told the white-haired girl to stay out of, leaving her unable to close that gap. Nonetheless, on the occasions they did cross paths in the hallway, their eyes would meet, if but briefly. It was never for more than a few seconds. Whenever she saw him, she made a point to give him a little smile. He never said anything, but still, when she had first arrived, he would not even have met her gaze. He would be taking more and more notice of her. One day, the white-haired girl stood in the cellar, a frown on her face. Well, this is troubling. I can't go down to the village if we don't do something soon. The cellar was where their food was stored, an assortment of non-perishables, and dried foods, smoked meats, and cheeses. Her daily meals were taken from the supplies there. However, the stockpile was beginning to grow quite small. Were she not on the run, she could have gone to the village to procure more. Perhaps, were she a little tougher, she could have captured a wild animal for its meat. Master, you know, a young, delicate thing like her was hardly up to the task of hunting for food. How does he normally get his supplies, I wonder? From there, other questions about Michael started rising in her mind. No matter how life was he seen, surely he still had to eat, right? The white-haired girl nodded, then made her way out of the cellar, intending to head for his
don't get
bedchamber.
your fingers all the way in. Duh.
But on her way there, she spotted him standing by the entrance, staring motionless at the door lit by a single candle. He appeared to be waiting for something. Can I ask you a question? Go on. I was just down in the cellar and I noticed we're running low on food. Do you normally go to the village to restock? I've been outside in 10 years. Then how do you... What if I told you I don't eat? What? I am not of this world. And as such, I have no need of sustenance. Think of that. That sounds very, economical? If you can survive without having to eat, that's one less thing to worry about. Where possible, I'd like to have that ability too. Would see trying to frighten you as a waste of time. Was I supposed to be afraid? Never mind. Doesn't matter. You asked about the food in the cellar. It's going to be about that time. Wait, and you will find out. What do you... It's here. We're going to find out what's here after this commercial break. And we're back. This time, hot cocoa. I'll make this sad, whatever this sad story is going to be better. Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks. It's here. Oh? If you want to know where my supplies come from, open the door. But, I'm in hiding. I'm not at the door anymore. The knock is nothing more than a signal. Cheers, you Halloween people. What's shaking him? Waiter girl turned towards Michael to press him for more information, but he averted his gaze. Find the answer yourself, he seemed to be saying. He took several moments to gather a will, then marched over to the door. My crab whisperer shirt. I want to go gray on gray on gray. So bright. The sunlight, which she had not seen in some time, was so bright it seemed to burn her eyes. Although the sun itself had not gotten any brighter, she had simply spent so much time in the dark, her eyes were no longer accustomed to that much light. The color of her eyes made them quite sensitive to light already, so when she stepped outside, her whole world went bone right. The white-haired girl stood motionless for 10, perhaps 15 seconds, when her eyes finally adjusted to the light. This? She noticed a crate on the ground at her feet. She turned her head to ask Michael about the box. The mansion was so dark it appeared to be wholly severed from the outside world. The silver crabware. From where she stood, she was unable to distinguish Michael from the shadows. A pang of nervousness struck her. She wanted to return to the darkness as quickly as possible. The white-haired girl had come to yearn for that world without light more than the one with. The crate was fairly hefty. The slightly built girl had considerable difficulty bringing it into the house, but eventually she did manage to drag it through the front door. Hot cheese and dried meats. And then everything went dark once more, the faint flicker of a candlelight floating in the air. You can leave it there. I'll take care of the rest. What's... Without a word, Michael approached her and the box, withdrawing a knife that he had evidently kept hidden somewhere on his person. With it, he cut through the rope that bound the box. Go on, open it up. At his insistence, she placed her hand upon the lid. She had no idea what lay inside the unexpected delivery. Whoever had brought it was already long gone. Staring at the strange box, she was racked with nervousness. However, what she found when she pushed aside the lid was completely ordinary food. Something amusing? It was just rather anticlimactic. Here I was, worried about what might be inside. We were just talking about the supplies in the cellar. So, we were. It completely slipped my mind. This should last us for some time. It's all preserved, just like what's in the cellar, but I don't understand. Deliver all this to you. There should be a book in there as well. What? Oh, there it is. In the library, he said. That his family sends him 1 book a month. Does that mean this box came from them? If so, then why did the person who delivered this leave without speaking to him? What happened between him and his family? Is he here because they want him to be here? Because he chose to be here? The library, please. I'll bring the rest of the supplies to the cellar. But it's a big box. I'm sure you could use some help carrying it. That won't be necessary. Take the book and go. But fine, then stay here. I'll take care of everything. Wait, hold on, please. I'll do it myself. What is it? I know that feeling. My back, Anki. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. And I'm not trying to pry, but I can't help but be curious. Say what you have to say, please. I was wondering if you could tell me why you live here in this mansion. Why did whoever delivered this box leave before you even opened the door? Could you, perhaps, be imprisoned here? I told you this the very first day. I am cursed. It's only natural for a cursed man to live in a cursed house. Yes, but that's such a vague answer. I don't understand why you're in the situation you are. I don't know how to feel about it. There's so much I don't know. And I'm not even sure if your curse actually exists. I see. That is a perfectly reasonable doubt from your point of view. Having been branded a witch because of your appearance, it would make sense that you would think my curse might be fabricated, or perhaps a metaphor for something else. Alright then, come with me. What? I'll show you my curse. As he turned on his heels, the white-haired girl caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a smirk on his face. Like the whole thing was some kind of sick joke. That smile carved into his mask was far colder than any look of annoyance or rejection. But despite the twinge of nervousness, she still followed after Michael. As much as he might have stood out in a crowd with such height and long hair, his presence was almost entirely eroded away by the darkness. He felt that he could simply fade away into nothingness at any moment. Many things are buried here. Huh? Mice, insects, wild cats, and dogs. Have you ever thought it strange how little life there seems to be around this mansion? You're right. I haven't seen a single creature since I arrived. The only sounds you can hear is the wind blowing. To mention it, it did seem peculiar. They were all killed by me, or rather, they lost their lives because of me. You have your answer now. A butterfly fluttered its way into the ruined garden, dancing up and down through the air. Michael held out a finger before himself, and the butterfly, mistaking it for a branch, drifted down upon it to rest its wings. Had the scene stopped there, it would have been a picturesque moment. All that comes into contact with me loses its life. My skin, the breath I exhale, my flesh and blood, is poison to all life. But the butterfly's movements began to slow, wings in one last futile attempt to fight gravity. Then, without warning, it shriveled up into a dry husk.
Oh, good God!
It's dead. All dried up and lifeless. Like it's been dead for days. Like his finger drained all the life out of it. Is this his curse? Is that even possible? But I saw it with my own eyes. If this is his curse, though, it explains much. There are more than just insect and animal corpses buried here, too. Servants who came to visit me long ago are here beneath the ground, under our very feet. That's why the servant leaves before I open the door. If you touch me, if you get near me, his very life is in danger. No one is interested enough in seeing me to take that risk. No one will have anything to do with me. Nary a soul even wishes to see my face. Understand what I meant when I said I would eventually kill you. So that's why you've never once touched me. When I knocked the books down in the library, you didn't offer your hand to help me up. Only one of us ever made contact with the box at the entrance at the time. When I offered to help you carry it, you refused, because you didn't want your finger to accidentally brush against mine. My actions were not out of concern for you. I simply dislike people. Other interests mean nothing to me. What an odd face you're making. Do you not believe my curse is real? Oh, I do. It is certainly irrational, inexplicable, unbelievable, but you've shown me more than enough evidence. I don't believe you're lying to me right now either. In which case, you now understand how dangerous it is to be near me. You said if I left you alone. You said that if you left, you would be killed. But it's been some time since then. Be careful to cover your tracks, you could make your escape. You do not belong here. He was telling the truth about being cursed. Full burden to have to bear. It's how much he's given up on. How many lives he's inadvertently taken. How he must have felt every time it happened. Pain that loneliness must have given him. How much despair he must carry in his heart. How much sorrow must be weighing down on him. Oh no, I will not leave. I will stay here with you. Leave this place. No, I will not. Why? Why do you insist upon remaining in this house after learning what I can do? You have no reason to stay. Tell me then, why do you try to drive me out? He would be a fantastic gardener. Not for the actual planting of like anything living, but just to get rid of weeds. I hate weeding. Just kill everything. I'll have them roll around. Exactly. If you don't care for others, as you say, you're not concerned about anything else, then what does it matter what I do? What does it matter if I dive to your curse? You're a very kind-hearted man. You've been watching out for me since the day I arrived, doing whatever you can to not inadvertently kill me, not afflict me with your curse. No. Here's what I think. No one capable of showing genuine care for others can honestly, truly dislike all people. They can't possibly be indifferent. No, the day we met before the stained glass window, you heard me out. You listened to my plight. You didn't try to chase me out. That day I thought you to be a good person. I still believe that. I simply assumed you would leave on your own when it was safe. I never thought you could be so foolish as to want to stay in a house like this with a man like me. How does that make me foolish? Do you not value your life? Are you not afraid of death? Do you not find me unpleasant? The thing I fear most is loneliness. Probably right that by now I could safely sneak away, get myself somewhere far away from here. But even if I did, I would inevitably find myself in the same situation. And honestly, how hard is it to carry a couch? The only way I can avoid that fate is to stay away from everyone. Live in solitude, with no one to talk to. I know you understand how that feels. It terrifies me. I'm afraid of having to spend day after day with no one to talk to. No one to share my experience, my thoughts, my feelings with. If that's what awaits me out there, then I want to live with you. I want you to be an essential part of my life. Impossible. Please, don't chase me out. You are a cruel girl. Never again will I allow myself to get close to someone, only to watch them die. Never again. My mother was the first to die. It happened shortly after my birth. Next was my wet nurse. 2 deaths could be considered a coincidence. As the number rose, it became clear that I was cursed. I was forbidden from making contact with her, even at home. Regardless, being in the same house, accidents will happen. Numerous people lost their lives. Attendants unfamiliar with me, or those who simply brushed up against me by mistake. I couldn't take it any longer. So you chose to move here, to this remote mansion, to keep yourself away from your family. You weren't imprisoned here, you elected to live alone, so you wouldn't hurt anyone. For better or for worse, I was born into a noble house. So rather than abandon me, they provided me the means to live out of sight. I will be very careful. I will do everything I can to ensure no accidents occur, to keep you from being alone again. I will not, for any reason, touch you. You have my promise. Your curse takes the life of anything you touch. I've been here for a while, and the death has not befallen me yet. As long as I do not touch you, there shouldn't be a problem. Also, I apologize that this is simply me reading too much into things, but I feel like we're two of a kind. I fear being utterly alone more than anything. And I think you understand just how scary that is. So, why are you so stubbornly insistent on it being me? I'm sure there's someone else out there, someone you're meant to be with. You may not have found them yet, but I believe someone like you eventually will. Because unlike me, you still have the vigor to press forward. It has to be you, I'm certain of it. Why? Because, well, You can't tell me? No, I can, just don't get upset with me. I think I might really, really love you. What's shaking, Athia? Having breakfast? His was a power that evoked images of witches or demons, the unclean and the impure. A mere touch was all it took for him to strip a man and beast alike of its life. Called gentle tones. God is quite a cruel streak to bestow such a power upon such a beautiful young man, and a strange power was indeed, like something of a fairy tale. Like something confined to words upon the page, it seemed unworldly, unbelievable. Nonetheless, as he demonstrated to the white-haired girl, his peculiar powers were indeed real. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a lot of reading, but it means a visual novel, so. That said, the world has its fair share of oddities. It just so happens that those curiosities tend to remain hidden away, known only to a few. Although you have laid eyes upon a number of unusual phenomena yourself, Master, the doors to the past, through which we have passed, this very mansion. As a matter of fact, the two of us. Now, as you just saw, the white-haired girl found herself enraptured with this man and his accursed power. How do you think Michael acted in response to her proclamation? It's been so long refusing to interact with others. No, unable to interact with them. As such, he was unsure how to respond. After standing there expressionless for a few moments, he muttered, "I'll consider it." And with that, he returned to his chambers. While he was not someone who wore his heart on his sleeve, I personally do not believe he was completely devoid of emotions. He had simply forgotten how to express them in his extended solitude. I think he was, in that moment, in a state of complete panic. Yet, after all, assaulted him with a stream of incomprehensible declarations. That, knowing the truth, she still wished to remain in the mansion. And that, knowing the truth, she loved him. The love she had declared for Michael was not a fleeting puppy love. There was a genuine tenderness and warmth to her words. But he had gone through his life shunned, feared, pushed away. To him, that was normal. He had never given anyone reason to have any fondness for him, so he found himself utterly unsure how to take the affection she was showing. But of course, he was not the only one rattled by the whole affair. Oh dear. Several days had passed since Michael had asked for the time to think. He had still yet to show himself again. This is all my fault. The white-haired girl paced anxiously through the halls on the off chance she might run into him. As per his request, though, she kept her distance from his chambers. Nevertheless, she was beginning to worry about the fact that he might have secluded himself away for so long. So she worked up the courage and made her way to his room. What if he doesn't want to see me ever again? I didn't consider it I might be overstepping my bounds before opening my mouth. Every step she took was slow and laborious. Her mind raced with worry and doubt. I should at least tell him I'm sorry. Rather than out of desire to know how he felt, she was compelled by guilt and desire to apologize. After walking for some time, she arrived at a door sitting in an utterly unlit hallway. She drew in a breath of musty air, then let it out, repeating the process several times. Next, she reached her hand up to knock on the door, then pulled it back, also doing this a number of times. Oh, how adorable she was. I wanted nothing more than to give her a little nudge. Girl, she was too sweet of a girl for her worries to be anything but misplaced. I can't find the courage. I should go back another day. What's the point of waiting? I need to apologize to get the weight off his back now. She gathered her courage once more, this time determined she would do it. The waiter girl moved her small fist towards the door, which then swung open.
Let's go!
I don't know if that's what she said, but maybe. I'm sorry. Please, you must announce your presence. I almost walked right into you. Are you in that much of a hurry for a mishap? I'm sorry. And I believe I told you to stay away from my chambers. You did, so I spent a long time debating whether I would, but I decided I really wanted to tell you this. Oh, well, actually, I am truly sorry. What? The other day, I could barely manage to get the words in my head all the way to... I could barely manage to get the words in my head all the way to my mouth. There was no room in my mind for anything else. I shoved my own thoughts and feelings into your face. Now considering that might not be what you wanted, just running, non-stop, not thinking at all. It was terribly disrespectful to you, completely selfish. You're a kind-hearted man, I truly believe that. But you're only being courteous because you're a nice man. I'm sure you have little interest in the affections of a queer little girl, so... I would love it if I could stay here. It would be a wonderful blessing, but if you don't want me here, if my feelings are imposing upon you, then I apologize. I'm sorry, and I'll take my leave of this house. I'm sorry. Don't be, my mind went blank for a moment. What? I find it difficult to comprehend you. The other day you were firm in your intentions to stay. Now you say you'll leave without a struggle. You holed up in your room for so long. I thought, you didn't want me around. To be honest, I want to stay here. I do. I think you should do whatever pleases you. Huh? You can stay, or you can leave. I will not pressure you to do one or the other. So I'm not imposing? To tell you the truth, I had to think about that for some time. However, I have now come to something of a solution. Since you're here, come into my room. What? But I thought I wasn't allowed to. To prevent what almost happened a few moments ago, so we don't accidentally run into each other. Sorry. You are forgiven. Now come in. Okay. Is this a necklace? If that's what it looks like to you, then I suppose that means I succeeded. Pick it up. It has a little bell. It's adorable. Please make an effort to wear that while you're in the house. Because it's so dark, there will always exist the risk that we might accidentally bump into one another. So I tried to come up with a way to reduce that risk. Does that mean you didn't leave your room because you were working on this? Right. What other reason would I have? I think most people would assume it was because they had put you in a bad mood. You didn't want to see them. I have little sense of how most people see the world. Sorry. I appreciate it though. Perfect. This is Ghost. Ghost is the cat girl Maid. I'm really glad to know that you put so much thought into a life together with me. It would be difficult not to after the other day. I'm so happy right now. I can't think of any better word to describe it. I couldn't be happier. You're being dramatic. To tell you the truth, I feel a little bad about it. Why? It seems rather impertinent to affix a bell to someone. You're not livestock, you're a person. That's why you turned it into a necklace? Thank you very much. I'll keep it with me at all times. I really truly appreciate it, Lord Michael. Although I do kind of question the beaded tail. How am I supposed to wear that? Don't call me Lord, please. Alright, then, I'll just call you Michael. And will you please call me Giselle? The windows. What? If we could open the windows... Never mind. I was just thinking you wouldn't need the bell at all if we could get some light in here. They can't be opened. They're rusted shut. All the windows have been shuttered for as long as I've been here. I assumed you boarded them all up. It was done long before I ever arrived. After so many years here, though, I hardly consider it an inconvenience anymore. It also serves to repel wanderers. Oh, really? Is there something odd about that? No, it's just I realized I had the wrong impression about a number of things. As I learn more, I see things in a different light. See you in a different light. And I'm sure there's still plenty more for me to learn. Of all the people I've ever met, you are perhaps the most difficult to predict. Why do you have no aversion to the darkness? The dark has always been a close friend of mine. Which isn't to say I dislike the sun. Its light can simply be too strong for me. Like some kind of unholy monster, I can't be exposed to sunlight. You are anything but unholy. My name would suit you. Much better than me. We're gonna name you Powder. Wait, why is there gross sounds? That day when I first saw Giselle, I was wary of her, apprehensive. I didn't want her anywhere near me. But as my doubts about her faded, I began feeling somewhat very different. As though the lump in my heart had been melted away. I began to yearn for her to be at my side, knowing full well it couldn't possibly last, knowing full well how foolish it was. I found myself captivated by her. I found myself wishing to have her stay with me. The end. Oh, don't do that. I'm just joking. Goddamn letter over. Got weird. My standard Saturday. And that marked the true beginning of their quiet days together in the dark mansion. They acknowledge and accept each other's presence, no longer isolating themselves, but actually regularly conversing. As mundane as it might seem, it was something they had been able to attain until then. This is called a ray of light, by the way. Nevertheless, they were still somewhat fumbling around in the dark with one another, drawing closer and pushing away again. Alright, Aether, I hope work goes well for you, buddy. Michael on his own. What's going on, Carbon Knights? Welcome, Raiders. I'm Kenner OAG, currently playing the house in Fata Morgana. Like it's been a visual novel of a lot of different emotional stresses. What's going on, Nori? Thank you guys for the defense and the shoutouts. How was Alien? Michael, in his own ungraceful way, was beginning to open himself up to things he said. And the white-haired girl was beginning to smile with greater frequency. They had taken to dining together, and her wish of learning to read was being granted. He taught her in the feeble light of a candle placed upon the table, the two sitting across from one another. Though Michael seemed to be well educated, he had not been instructed in the art of teaching, so he found the process quite thrilling. It was terrifying. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I watched my buddy Ildan play it, and he complained the entire time. But he kept dying to robots, so... But to the white-haired girl, the longer it took, the better. Her primary objective was, after all, to spend time with him. The days passed, and eventually, he reached the point where her comprehension was adequate enough without assistance. Her next request, then, was for them to read through a book together. Have you read every book in the library? No, I stopped looking at them after a while. Most everything I'm sent is dull, uninformative dreck. The Diary of the Lord? Foolish make-believe tales? You're not fond of fiction, I take it. What value is there in the lies and fantasies of another? Stories can be invigorating. Tales of adventures can take you places you can never go. Legends of heroes, folklore, stories of unworldly phenomena. They can be terrifying, and they can be exhilarating. They may not be real, but they give you a little glimpse into the author's heart. But you feel like you're seeing the same thing they saw. I'm glad you're having fun with it. Honestly, it looked like a cool game, and I know I brought it up a little bit in your stream, but I sat there and watched like a whole big bit on how they did the two AIs in that game, and it was really interesting. I guess it was just really interesting. I liked how they did the whole one AI tells you like the area you're in to the alien AI, and then the alien AI kind of, if you keep hiding in your cabinets, it figures out, hey, you're in cabinets, and starts opening them. and there were huge differences in the difficulties. You are a very emphatic girl. Fiction inspires nothing of the sort in me. However, perhaps long ago, you may have been able to, though I can no longer remember what it feels like. I'm sure it'll come back to you. You're not an empty man. Sorry, I'm making you uncomfortable again. How about we read this book today? Oh, I'm getting fat tongue. It appears to be the collection of legends. You haven't read this one yet, then? That's good to hear. It'll be more enjoyable if it's a new experience for the both of us. Looks like it's a record of local legends. The book is divided into several sections, though it appears to be mostly superstitions. I am curious what kind of stories this area has. The two of them were looking down at a simple, undecorated volume. As the white-haired girl had said, it seemed to be a collection of local legends passed down generation to generation. They sat across from one another at the table, her turning the pages and Michael simply watching so as not to brush against her. Eventually, her eyes were drawn to a particular word on one of the pages, bringing her hands to a stop. The witch. The chapter detailed the story of a witch, or more precisely said, witch's curse. The story went something like this. There once was a witch, skilled in the dark arts. She lived in a meager but peaceful life alongside the other villagers. But then a long drought struck the village, which the people blamed on the witch. The witch was sentenced to death, and as the fire blazed around her, smoke rose high into the air. Smoke soon became rain clouds, blessing the village with an end to the drought. The crops were revitalized and the villagers fancied themselves heroes. However, the rain also brought madness upon the people. Though the earth below them was lush and fertile, the villagers were losing their minds. They eventually began to take each other's lives, which still lived on in the form of a curse. Many fell victim to the witch's curse, though it did not only take, it also fulfilled people's desires. The villagers had gone mad, but their wish for freedom from the drought had been granted. Thus, the legend has been passed down as follows. The witch will grant your wish in exchange for a great sacrifice. As smoke in the sky, she watches down upon us from above. To reach the witch, climb for the heavens. But no, that road is a road to destruction. People still believe the witch's legend even now, I suppose. And that's why I face accusations of being a witch. This is not an area very welcoming to outsiders, especially one who stands out as much as you. What brought you to this region in the first place? Mine is a story I'm sure you've heard before. I was cast out of my house. I come from a very poor family. We could barely even afford to keep everyone fed. Being as weak as I am, it was only natural that I would be the first to go. See, I don't understand, though, is why the witch is said to grant people's wishes. That is to say, she had reason enough to hold a grudge, but not to give people things they asked for. All we have to go on is a few pages. There's no saying that might have been changed or added over time, and it's almost certain the entire legend isn't written here. That said, if we were to accept everything as written, you can infer what the witch's reason might have been. That is, if you truly wanted that much, you can have it, but I'll make certain your suffering outweighs it. Despair that comes after a moment of happiness is far more agonizing than despair alone. I presume that is why the witch decided to grant people's wishes. That is one way to look at it. May I ask you something? Go on. When I first arrived here, you told me that a cursed witch used to live in this mansion. After reading this legend, I am now finding it hard to believe you made that up simply to scare me away. I appropriated the tale, nothing more. It is said the witch was born in this house. What? Quite the place my family found for me. But it was a clever decision putting me here, I think. Not many people are likely to come near a house with such a pedigree. But... oh, never mind. That makes sense. I suspect I know what she was going to say then. If the witch is said to grant wishes, then wouldn't that also attract people who desperately want something? They do not care about what price they must pay. Perhaps she was correct. Perhaps there had been those who had come to the mansion chasing after the witch. And perhaps they have encountered Michael, touched him, and lost their lives. On that day in the garden, he had said, "Many things are buried here." Perhaps they included such visitors. I wonder if that story might be more than mere superstition. If the witch of legend really did exist, what would you do? Might be nice to talk to her, maybe. That's all? Really? I feel a little bad for her, though. Many people who ever visit her are there to ask for something, after all. I can only imagine just how lonely that must be. I swear, I cannot understand the way your mind works. Sorry. Although, if we assume the legend is true, I have an idea what climb for the heavens might mean. Oh? The mansion has an observation tower. I suppose what used to be an observation tower. At any rate, it is quite a tall structure. This is the house where the witch was supposedly born. A tower reaching for the heavens seems like the perfect place to find her, if she really is here. Oh yes, I remember seeing a rather tall structure as I first approached the mansion. Would you like to see it? Of course. Please, lead the way. The two of them left the library and made their way to the room with the stained glass window. At the far end of the room were the stairs to the observation tower. The tale of the witch had piqued the white-haired girl's interest, inspiring her to put herself forward to satisfy that curiosity. She had, after all, been accused of being a witch herself, so she undoubtedly felt an affinity to the legend. What a sweet girl she was. With Michael in the lead, the two climbed a long, long spiral staircase. There were many more stairs that the white girl had anticipated, and she soon found herself short of breath. Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in regular intervals. Turning through one of them, she could see a village in the distance. A pleasantly cool, high-altitude breeze brushed across her face. After much climbing, they finally arrived at the top, where a door made of partially rotted wood stood. Michael pulled open the door, revealing a small room with no windows or doors in sight. This is the top of the tower? Despite it being an observation tower, you could hardly observe anything from there. Her face contorted in confusion. The white-haired girl threw her gaze about the room. Glanced up, she only saw a darkened ceiling, and slightly below it, a single small window through which shone a little ray of light. The beam the darkness like the sharpened blade of a beautiful sword. The darkness draped over the rest of the room only served to make more impressive that solitary ray of light. It had a magical fairy tale quality to it. As if being pulled in by it, she drew towards the light. I suspect there was once a large window in this room. If you look closely, you can see the seams in the stone of the wall. The color of the stone differs slightly on either side of the seams. I presume something caused them to seal off the window after it was built, though I don't know what that something might be. When Michael's eyes fell upon the white-haired girl wrapped in that beam of light, he sputtered to us. The man who had never flinched at anything, who had long since distanced himself from stirrings of the heart, was utterly bewitched. He'd never seen her illuminated so vividly before, and he was having a great deal of trouble finding the words to describe her striking beauty. For someone who had been chased out of her home and accused of being the witch, the white-haired girl looked less like a practitioner of the dark arts, and more like one of the hosts of heaven. Michael undoubtedly felt the same way.
Don't get your fingers all the way in. Duh.
For his gaze was affixed firmly upon it. Dazzling, isn't it? Like a staircase leading to heaven. Yes, perhaps so. Something the matter? No, I'm fine. You know, it feels like there's something odd in the air here. It feels like someone actually might be listening. If the witch were to speak to you, what would you say to her? I would ask her to tell me her true feelings. Tell me what kind of person she was, and what kind of pain she had to endure. I don't know what she felt. A woman people branded as a witch. The legend was written from a neutral perspective. It's possible she was a fearsome witch. It's also possible she wasn't. I get the feelings. She was just persecuted, like me and you. Unlike you, I truly am impure. Disagree all you want, but my touch kills. I'm a strange, incomprehensible, irrational creature. Or maybe I'm not even a living being. And that's why when I touch something that is, I bring them death. If only I actually were a witch. If only I actually had some kind of extraordinary power, regardless of whether it came from God or the devil, I'd be able to grant people's wishes. My wish need not be granted. But it's what I want too. I wish to be able to touch you. We're going to jail. I would be perfectly content with nothing changing, with us never being able to touch one another. More than happy with that. I'm allowed to dream, aren't I? It doesn't have to be in this life. I pray the day will come that we can get closer, even if it has to happen in another life. Happiness is very much a stranger to me, but am I allowed to dream too? You are. I will never touch you, I swear it. But I'd like to dream about it. I'd like to imagine placing my hands upon your cheek. You can. Reach your hand out to me. I will imagine it too. I'm imagining your fingers running through my hair, up against my skin, and feel your warmth. There was a wall between them, a wall they could not cross, or if they did, it would mean the white-haired girl's death. No matter how much they yearned for it, they could not touch one another, though they did so within the confines of their imagination, envisioning it all in as much detail as they could imagine. It was sad, but sweet, a moment of pristine, untainted beauty. Two of them emanated serenity. As fitting as the word cursed might have been to the mansion as a whole, at the top of the observation tower, a pure bond was being shared. A fleeting moment between a young man with a cursed touch and a kind-hearted, beautiful girl. The dream did not last long, no, for God is quite cruel. They simply wanted to be together, that's all. Their wish was hardly unreasonable, only a quiet, peaceful life together. But misfortune was creeping ever nearer, its footsteps growing more and more pronounced. The chapter is titled The Blood of the Witch. Is someone at the door? The flow of time was hazy within the mansion's walls. They had little way of telling whether it was night or day, preventing them from knowing exactly how much time had passed. The white-haired girl had made a habit of climbing the observation tower every so often to see whether the sun was up. This allowed her to approximate the time of day. Consequently, when she heard the knock on the door, she was not aware just how deep the night was outside. That forest and beast alike lay quietly at rest. Alright, the stores in this are almost exhausted. Must be this month's delivery. I don't think it was worth bothering Michael over. She made her way out of her chambers and headed for the entrance. There had only been a single knock, leading her to conclude that, as before, the servant had simply left the box outside the door. But without a second thought, she opened the door. And there she saw a strange, vagrant man standing in the moonlight. His clothes were tattered, his bearded face bony and emaciated. She gasped, shrinking back several paces. The heavy door began to swing shut. The man forced it open, glaring down at her with unfocused eyes and mumbling. Ye the witch that'll grant people's wishes? It was in that moment that the white-haired girl realized she had been careless. The man had sought out the mansion because he believed the legend of the witch. He did not seem particularly right of mind, either. Perhaps a result of wandering through the forest for several days. Or perhaps it was because he was so beaten down that he thought to ask for a witch's help. In a word, he seemed mad. No, there is no witch here. Sure there is. Don't you lie to me. I can hear the witch's voice. Do let me to this house. I promise you, there isn't. Now please, be on your way. You have any idea how long it took me to find this place? How many days I've gone without food or water, and you're telling me to get lost? I don't know what you want from me. I'm happy to give you a little food, so please. Is there really no witch? There's no witch here. There's nothing but a legend. If she does exist, she doesn't live here. I see. Then that means you're just an ordinary person. Just a person. Just a girl. There ain't a thing you can do. No, get away from me. What are you doing? Why waste time waiting for you to get me a little grub when I can just take it all? I'm starving here. I'm so hungry I could eat a human. You're about to commit a grievous sin. Are you not ashamed to act in defiance of God? God? If I believed in God, would I come begging to a witch? I don't fear him. I'm sure as hell don't fear people. Who's gonna show up at the house in the middle of nowhere? Who's gonna call me out? Who's gonna stop me? No one, that's who. No one's gonna stop me. No one's gonna offer me salvation. Ah, there's a thought. You're a woman, so after I kill you, what are you doing? What? There are other people here? The white-haired girl lay pinned on the floor beneath the yelling bandit, pleading for her life with her ruby eyes. As soon as Michael grasped the situation, he tossed his candlestick aside and leapt for the man. The candlestick gave a sharp clang when it hit the floor. The impact extinguished the flame, bringing the mansion to near-perfect darkness. It went in the bandit's hand, and then, without hesitation, he thrust it at Michael. Michael! How stupid must you be to come at me unarmed? In his hand, the man held a knife, its tip dripping with Michael's blood. Red spilled from the gash in his arm, the flow growing heavier with each passing moment. You're the only other person here by the looks of it, eh? Perfect, I'll take you both out. You... what? You don't appear to know whose house you tried to break into. What are you on about? Regret your ignorance to your very last breath. You're messed up in the head, you madman. And stay the hell back. Take one more step and... I inherited the witch's curse. Let me go. Michael clutched the man's face in one hand. The man raised his knife to strike back, but... What's happening? The strength drained from his fingers, the knife falling to the floor. The man writhed in Michael's grip. My face, I can't breathe. Leave this place immediately, though you won't get far afflicted with my curse. Help us to fight back. Nay, help us to even consider fighting back. The bandit fled the mansion in terror. In his wake, only the white-haired girl and a bleeding Michael remained. I just saw a man's life drained from him. His faith withering away, sucked completely dry. I didn't doubt him, but dear God, that was quite disturbing for you, I'm sure. No, not at all. My fault anyways, if I hadn't been so careless. Oh, your arm. We need to get that wrapped up. Please do not touch me. You mustn't touch me. The wound is hardly fatal. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry. No, a degree of the blame falls on me for saying nothing. Next time someone comes to the door, let me know. Sorry. Please, you don't need to apologize. Well, yes? Once, I'm actually proud of myself. Proud that I could use this terrible ability of mine to do something more than just take life. To protect someone I care about. By taking life. So like I said, please don't apologize. Alright, thank you. Michael? I'm glad you're here. I care about you too. But thank you. And the flame of Michael's candle knocking out when he threw it in the floor. He was seeing a heartfelt smile on the white girl's face. He was seeing, and she would have seen a flushed red and awkward smile on Michael's normally blank face. Might have also seen a little glimmer on her cheek, where a few drops of his blood had landed. Alas, they had no light. Probably fine. The collapse of their happiness came slowly, gradually. Perhaps it was because she touched his blood instead of his skin, but the deterioration of the white-haired girl's health crept along at a relaxed pace. The life was not sucked out of her in the blink of an eye, as it had been from the bandit. Her grew progressively less and less healthy. Amidst her physical decay, she was bestowed with one blessing. Her beauty remained untouched. As far as a blessing went, sure there were others she could have been granted. Could God not have picked something a little better for her? By the time the two of them realized what was happening, it was already too late. The white-haired girl had grown so weak she could hardly leave her bed. Yes? Oh, you are there. I am. Thank goodness. I can't see very well anymore. How could this happen? I thought I had saved you, but no, I did the exact opposite. Please, don't talk that way. You did save me that day. You're on the cusp of death now, and it's all my fault. Because of this curse I bear. How could this happen? Why did this have to happen? What am I? Why was I given this body? Michael, can I ask you a favor? Go ahead. Stay with me, please. As much as you can until the very end. I was going to do as much anyway. Thank you. I'm happy, Michael. Happier than I've ever been. And I mean that. You didn't just save my life, you saved me. Been saved. But only me. I wonder how it will handle things when I'm gone. If only I hadn't opened that door that day. I wouldn't be leaving them all alone. Then we could be happy together for even longer. Yes? Would you please hold my hand? And we'll see what happens with the hand holding. Shortly after. Because, you know they're going to hell for holding hands. No snap, Ghost with the 10 million as well. Thank you, buddy. Ooh, and we have Streets of Rage. Let's get back into this. Ran out of drink like halfway through that. No bueno when you're reading a bunch. You say nice and lubed. Would you please hold my hand? I think it's probably safe now. I will not. I cannot touch you. If I do, I might take what remains of your life. Take your beauty away and force you to die hideous. I cannot touch you. You just said song. And I'll tell you. Down here it hurt. What? On his way back from the washroom, several days later, Michael heard muffled voices. Got it? Going good? He was having trouble making out what they were saying, but he could tell it was several men and they were outside the front door. The fact he could hear them all at all through the heavy door meant they were probably shouting quite loudly. An indescribable sense of uneasiness came over him. Dread. He drew nearer to the door and focused on the voices on the other side. They grew clearer, enough for him to make out what the other men were saying. Everything's in place. We're ready to kill this witch now. It is definitely the place. That half-dead bandit said she was in this mansion. Listen well, no matter what we find, in there we kill it. You could be a child for all I care. That doesn't change anything. Kill the witch. What he heard beyond the door was a group of men shouting for the death of the witch. In that moment, Michael regretted his decision to let the bandit go free and not watch over him until the moment of his demise. He must have made his way down to the village in search of help, where he revealed what he had found at the mansion. Damn it! But it was too late. Regret would solve nothing. He could neither stop the villagers from raiding the house, nor could he stop the white-haired girl from dying to the effects of his curse. He was helpless to do anything. The gears of his fate had locked him onto a path to tragedy and were turning mercilessly onward. The men began trying to break down the door with what sounded like a battering ram. While the first strike was not enough to breach the barrier, it was still quite powerful. He was certain it would not hold for long. Michael's mind raced. Was there anything he could do about this predicament? How could he escape from the corner he had been backed into? Despite his possessing human powers, he would be powerless against a full mob of adult men. The villagers almost certainly came armed as well. Michael, a weak voice came from behind him. Aghast, he spun around to find the white-haired girl stumbling towards him. She breathed heavily, leaning against columns for support. What are you doing out here? Only worsening your condition by exerting yourself. I had a sinking feeling. I heard noises on my way here. It seems that I have brought all this misfortune upon you. Say that? If I hadn't come here, this never would have happened. You never would be in any danger. Please, Michael, hand me over to the men outside. Absolutely not. I will do no such thing. They're here for the witch, aren't they? I'm guessing they're the same people who were chasing me before. The village had a poor harvest this year, I hear. Like the village in the legend. And they believe it's the witch's curse. You are not a witch. They need someone to fill that role, though. So please, hand me over. And then escape on your own. I could never. Please, Michael. I'm the one who's cursed, not you. You want me to hand you over? What would I have left then? Nothing. Not a thing. I would have nothing. After so long, I finally found someone who isn't afraid of me, who won't run. I have no interest in a world that would take you away from me, make me live alone once more. Not with such a world. Would you be willing to die with me? If that's what you wish, stay with me until the very end. I probably wanted to hear that just as much as him. No, not probably. I did. I want to have someone at my side as much as him. It's so lonely not having anyone. To live alone, to die alone. To not have anyone watching over you. For no one to even know you're dead. I simply wanted someone to tell me that they're here for me. To be there, to hold my hand. Wonderful that would be. The sense of utter relief it would bring would be enough to cast away all the pain, to allow me to accept all of our suffering. So please, tell me you'll... Michael and the white-haired girl chose to spend their final moments at the top of the observation tower. They could hear the crash of the battering ram against the door, the shouts of the men and the stomping of their feet. But despite all of that, the ray of light shining through the little window was as beautiful as always. The room's air of serenity remained unimpeached. After the long climb to the top, the white-haired girl was terribly out of breath. Michael considered several times offering her his hand, but the possibility that doing so might rob her of the last scraps of life stayed with him. Sounds like they broke down the door. I'm glad we went up here when we did. Sorry for asking you of this. Don't be. I would have chosen here for my final moments as well. This is the one place in the mansion with any sunlight. The one place I can get a good look at you. Thank you. I'm truly glad that I was able to end up here. That I was able to meet you. And more than anything, that you said you cared about me. It was just before the 1100s, Anki. Gloves were considered immoral. Hand conduct, they called them. Have I managed to become an essential part of your life? Do you even need to ask? I wouldn't be here otherwise. I feel the same way as you, I'm sure of it. The two of us are more similar than you probably can care to admit. Can I ask you one more thing? Go on. Would you embrace me? Of course. If this is to be the end, if this is to be my last chance, then I don't want to end without having been able to touch you. Please don't refuse me this. Just do it, please. I won't keep you waiting long. Thank you. The truth is, I always wanted this. I dreamed of being able to hold you. I dreamed of it too. So very... She's still so beautiful. Old joke. Would you not have given us some other miracle? One that would allow us both to survive? Where are you? Where'd you get off to? I can't find her, damn it. Hey, there's some stairs over here. They lead up. Oh, we're gonna be belly flopping down at them. Beneath the single ray of light, the white-haired girl lay completely still, and not even a frail sigh escaped her closed lips. She remained as gorgeous as ever. It was as though she had simply fallen asleep in the sunlight. Down upon her, Michael determined to do one thing. I will not allow anyone to sully this sight. He gave a fleeting glance back at her pristine corpse, and opened the door and stepped through it alone. He would protect that room where she lay. While we were windmilling now. Hey, there's someone up here. So this is where you've been hiding, you infernal witch. Wait, it's not a girl. The raucous sound of their footsteps rang up from below. Shortly thereafter, the men themselves came into view. As he had expected, they were heavily armed. He glowered at the men, then sucked in a deep breath and shouted at the top of his lungs. I am the witch you seek. I have inherited her curse, and it is I who brings calamity upon you. Thank you. Let me know. I have to wait till Ballman pops up. You hear that? But he's a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Death to anyone who has ties to the witch. Cleanse this earth of all impurity. Michael did not flinch at the sight of the men. He stood unyielding between them and the door. He did not flinch when they raised their weapons against him, nor when they pierced his body. Die and take your curse with you. I have no need for this life any longer. It's all yours. I am cursed. To kill even that which is to protect. But at the very least, I can protect one last thing before my life is done. Not even one of you will leave this place. Wither and die by my curse. The blood spilling from his skewered body flowed down the stairs, down and down like a little river, soaking the feet of every single man who stormed the mansion. This was the last thing he saw before the final grains of life slipped between his fingers, which brought a faint smile to his lips. Oh, I love a vindictive, petty death. Let's go. Crap myself too, just make it all unpleasant. Neither of them had expected what happened next, though, for God has a most twisted sense of humor. The White Girl had not miraculously passed away without being robbed of her beauty. Why am I still alive? She had rather not passed away at all. Quite cruel of him, was it not, Michael? Where have you gone, Michael? I smell blood. For had he allowed her to die, she would not have been made to witness the scene that awaited her. I am sure you know just what it is she laid eyes upon in that moment. The ravaged corpse of her beloved, a torrent of blood streaming down and down and down the spiral staircase, and the sickening stench it raised. Oh, why? And his was not the only body. The villagers who had assaulted the mansion had been subjected to his curse. The life drained from their withered shells. Why did this? Michael, why? Why am I the only one still alive? That's a question I cannot answer either. Perhaps his curse did not affect those he loved. As terribly cruel as that might be, I cannot say. Why, you said we would go together. The world without you has no meaning. She actually expended her life there in the room at the top of the tower. Perhaps this tale could have had a happy ending. She would have at least been able to have the man she loved at her side until the very last moments upon this earth. But that was not what had transpired. He had survived, then left utterly alone. I felt a profound pity for the miserable girl. I called out to her. Would you like to see him once more? I have the power to help you meet him again. He's there. Where are you? You know what they call this mansion. But who do you suppose remains on these grounds? No way. You're from the legend. You actually exist. I ask you a simple question. Would you like to see him again? The witch grants people's wishes, but at a price. I said I wouldn't ask for assistance if I met her. That's all changed, now that I've lost him. If it's truly possible, then yes, I want to see him. Bring him back to life. Regrettably, I cannot directly meddle with the forces of life and death. However, I can guarantee you this. Your reconstruction. Correct. To ensure that you remain as yourself in future lives and are not reborn as someone else, your body and mind shall be reconstructed. As shall his. If you sincerely wish to reunite with one another, if you genuinely need each other in your lives, you will eventually meet again. All I can promise you is eternal reconstruction. What you make of it is up to you. You want to see him again, don't you? You want to hear his voice again, don't you? You want to feel his hand on your cheek once more, don't you? If that's what you want, then you must remain who you are. If you were simply reborn, that wouldn't be you. There wouldn't be any point, would there? Me, as I am, and he, as he is. Make up your mind quickly. I will wait no longer. I want to see him again. As you wish, sweet little girl. I shall grant you both eternal reconstruction, and pray with all my heart that you can attain true happiness. Shortly thereafter, the white-haired girl took her own life. She decided she had nothing to gain by remaining in the present time, and that in order to reunite with Michael, she needed to make her way to the next life. And thus, the mansion was left bereft of a master, to travel slowly through the ages until someone came along to give it life once more. An unfathomable amount of time has passed, and the two have still yet to reunite. Have they, Master? You now know who you are, do you not? You remember everything now, do you not? You were present in every single era, the reason for which is, as I described in my previous tale. Because you yearned to be reunited with someone. That person never showed up in any era. And poor, sweet you having no memory of any of that. Live those lives with other men. Is it any surprise misfortune befell upon those eras, though? The door swung closed, but rather than outside, you and the maid were inside the dull monochrome room at the top of the observation tower. The awe-inspiring ray of light shone not through the lone window high up upon the stone wall. Trapped in Akira's impenetrable darkness, you both stood alone in the maid wore a gentle but prettily cold smile as she looked straight at you. It is not your fault misfortune befell you. We are forced to blame for that is fate. You were always so kind, so pure of heart. You had boundless trust for others and the goodness of people. You were the very image of all that is right. There's no greater misfortune than someone as pure and as beautiful as you, being mercilessly thrown into the grinding gears of tragedy again and again. I still pity you for everything you had to go through. Poor, poor soul. You must be utterly exhausted, constantly betrayed, the man you were waiting for never appearing. After so long, your spirit worn down to the bone. You lost any and all awareness of who you even were. Who were you hoping to find wandering into this illusionary mansion, cut off from the real world? You and I are the only ones here. The man you seek is nowhere to be found. Have you still not figured it out? Then allow me to tell you everything. I am the cursed witch Morgana, who haunts this mansion. And you are the tragic plaything of fate, the white-haired girl named Giselle. Did my calling you master confuse you? If so, then I apologize. My habit of calling you master or mistress of the house master is quite deeply ingrained. And yes, that means precisely what you think it does. I have accepted you as my new master. I wish for you to remain here, to stay with me. Let us put an end to this journey. Do not worry, there is nothing to fear. I'm simply going to step outside the river of time. Nothing unpleasant will ever happen to you again. I will be here with you for all eternity. I will give you my utmost. You will not have to wait for anyone. Forget about him, the man you once sought. I am sure you will find happiness, peace, for me. I've been waiting for you for so very long. I wanted nothing more than to see you again. You've stolen away from me, despite my sincerest desires to spend my days with you. Very spooky him. Second, I'm like, what the f? I'm gray, I forgot about that. Which is why I wanted you to recall everything. For surely you would not be willing to repeat the same fate. If you knew of all the pain it has caused you to suffer thus far. Spend eternity with me. In the gentle embrace of darkness. Maid extended her hand for you, her fingers brushing up against yours were as cold as ever. But her breath tickled your skin pleasantly, and her sweet words rang in your ears, filling you with warmth. You thought back on your time with her in the mansion. It indeed always treated you with great compassion, and nothing she had said seemed to be a lie. So you pondered. What were you to do? I'm gonna make a save here as well. I might have to take a stab and say probably not go with her. No, we're on our goal. You could not accept the maid's offer. If what she said were true, you could not give up on your search. You had spent years and years waiting to reunite with someone. Your previous attempts may have all been rife with mistakes, but you could not stop trying. Come, Master. Spend eternity with me in the mansion. We'll have the most wonderful time together. The sweet tone of her voice. I mean, I would spend my time in the mansion with you, but I am not. Her cold fingers. Icy smile. I'm used to that shit too. These were all terrifying now. You had to escape. To break out of this darkness. Make it outside. Master. What is the... You brushed the maid's hand aside. As her eyes widened aghast, you fled from the observation tower. Down and down the spiral case Staircase you went, though not a whisper of footstep could be heard in the stone tower. The stairs seemed to go on forever, down and down and down. Long last, you arrived at the bottom, dashing from the next room without a passing glance at the angel in the stained glass window. I'm still going back to maybe I should have reached my hand into the dam. The maid had shown you around the mansion, so you knew its layout. Or perhaps you were familiar with it even before arriving here. A large door came into view. It's gonna be like his damn key. The exit was up ahead, Master. But the next moment, her voice seized you from behind. You turned back, and there stood the maid, wearing the same smile. Where do you think you're going, Master? I told you, you mustn't let go of my hand. The mansion is quite large. You'll get lost if you go walking around unaccompanied. Now come on, let us head back. Please don't let go of my hand. The same smile she always wore. Exact same, but right now, it seemed inexplicably ghoulish. The chill that ran down your spine was not from the lack of heat, but utter terror. Come, let's head somewhere else. You had to get out of here. Oh, I know. And put some more kindling into the fireplace and start a fire. The sweet firelight. That is fire. Okay, the sweet firelight and gentle warmth will have you feeling wonderful in no time. You had to get out of here. You must be quite disoriented. The impact of regaining your memories has you terrified. Am I correct? You had to get away. You had to escape. You had to get out of here. Do not worry. I will always take care of you. Be safe from anything that scares you. I'll be here with you, forever. Clawed at the door. It was not barred, so it should open. Nevertheless, remain firmly in place. Now, you mustn't play around with that. Danger lurks around every corner outside. Fog blocking your sight, sinkholes in the road, a thick forest all around. It's keeping about all in the night. Could I possibly allow weak little you to go out into that? Now come back to my side, please. No need to be here. Maid drew towards you. You reached out her hand. Her whole body seemed to be trying to encase you in ice. She wanted to keep you chained here in the darkness. Do not worry. There's nothing to be afraid of. Get out of this place. You had to break free. From this house of darkness. From this doting maid. And from the maelstrom of tragedy. You had to remain firm, unyielding in that desire. Your desire to go outside. Your wish to be set free. You could not compromise or relent. Your thirst for escape had to be stronger than the maid's intent to keep you here. If it was, the door would surely open. But, Master, you dashed out into the light. There was nothing blocking your escape outside. No fog, no forest, no sinkholes, and no beasts in sight. The light was so bright it almost hurt your eyes. It was a world exactly opposite the darkness within the house. Master, please wait. You mustn't go out there. Come back, quickly. You could hear the maid's voice, but you kept running through the light. As far as you could go. Wherever you arrived, you were sure that was where you were meant to be. Once, though, just once, you looked back over your shoulder. It was blurry in the bright light, but you could see the mansion there. It wavered like a mirage, though it could disappear at any second. He'd stand in the open door. He was desperately reaching her hand out for you, but you were far out of reach. It seemed she could not leave the house. Perhaps you felt a pang of pity for her, but you were not sure. When you could no longer hear the maid shouting for you, your conscience snapped off. You fell not into darkness, but light. I'm breaking. Rub before I rub dubbed. I don't know if you know the sound effects. Anything that has a sound effect on it can't be played at the same time. So rubs can't happen at the same time. You don't lose the cool, like it doesn't go on cooldown, but you just have to do it again. Huh? What was I doing again? Oh, that's right. I was on my way to school. Now, what was I doing dozing off in the middle of the road? Kind of in a daze. I just woke up from a terrible nightmare. In the middle of the day? In the middle of the road? Nothing like that's ever happened before. Has it? It doesn't add up. I can't remember what I was doing. It's like there's a big gap in my memory. What was I doing? Who was I looking for? Need to stay focused. I'll have to get going or I'll be late. This all too well. The same route I take to school every day. There's a vendor along the way that always waves good morning to me. Always the same route. I know this place? Yes, I know this place. You see it every day. Okay, nothing changed. It's always the same. My perfectly normal, ordinary, everyday life. Ah, a gentle breeze brushes against my cheeks. My hair flutters as my gaze slides upward. Looking at a tall, handsome man with long hair and somewhat despondent demeanor. I think I know this man. As soon as I see him, I feel like someone stuck their hand in my chest and is squeezing my heart. It's hard to breathe, and the overwhelming sense of familiarity is me on the verge of tears. Elation jolts through all of my extremities. Oh, I know. This is the person I've been searching for. Excuse me. Excuse me. I have to get him to turn back. I have to look him in the eyes. I have to talk to him. We have been reunited. I don't know his name, and he doesn't know mine, but still, this is fate, so... Back to the mansion. What? I must go back to the mansion. Hold on, there's something I need to tell you. How could I have made that mistake? It was the worst possible decision. To make things right. To take her hand. To make her smile for me. If I can't do that, why am I even alive for? Why did I even return from the everlasting darkness for? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What are you talking about? This time I'll do it. Can you hear me? Only look me in the eyes. If it's not possible in this life. Stop, please listen to me. Why does he keep moving forward? I'll just have to place my hope in the next one. Wait, red light. I beg your forgiveness. I made the worst possible decision. Well, I will not make the same mistake twice, no matter what form you may assume. I will not err again. I promise, I shall come back for you. Giselle. Hey, someone call an ambulance. Someone's been hit by a car. What? Oh, well, we got an ending, but that wasn't a very good one. Well, that's the end. Oh, they're truckers. I didn't think it was going to be over that quickly. We found Michael, and it looked like Paris probably. And we tried talking to him, but we were stuck in like the Silent Hill. And then he got ran over by a car because he's still looking for us. Oh. Well, we're going to extend our hand this time. You extended your hand towards the darkness overrunning the mirror. The second your hand brushed against the surface, the tips of your fingers sunk into it. The next thing you realized, your whole world was sinking into darkness. You could hear a voice. I don't know I didn't look up the endings and whatnot for this game, so I don't know how many endings there are. I am the witch. But we did touch the first mirror. It's getting foggy. Looks like it might rain. Maybe we should take a little break. You want to keep going? Oh, alright then. This deep in the forest. Thank you very much. I must be tired for such a long journey. This is the mansion I'm looking for, yes? I should have said something. Oh well. I should get going, I guess. Does no one live here? If that's the case, then why was I... Wait, was this the wrong one I touched? Okay, so not that one. Which one do I have to load? Because we did that one, right? I don't think it's this. Was it this one? Because I had them separated. Oh, don't tell me I fucking do it. Okay, I think this is it. Because we did all this. It will be after this whole little bit goes with the 4 things I already read. Then he offers to give me something. I refused it. Okay, reach into the frame. Extend your hand for the painting. The moment your fingertips brushed against the darkness, it swallowed your entire hand up to the wrist. No, not there. It tickles, a little to the right. As the man that Bandit had instructed, you groped around the inside of the darkness. Before long, you felt something hard at your fingertips. You withdrew your hand. Your arm was still intact. You spread your fingers and then you found a key. I told you it was a damn key. It tickled. With that key, you can access the master bedroom. All back, she tossed it into me. That damn litterbug. But yeah, it ain't mine. Don't worry about giving it back. However, I bet there's something worth seeing in there, if she felt the need to toss that key. Alright, well, I'm gonna go get some sleep. You take care. If you happen to learn my name, come pay another visit. Should the fancy strike you? Having said that, the painting felt quiet. In your hand lay a small key. It seemed rather antiquated and vaguely familiar. Silence once again drew over the corridor. You stood there all alone, no sign of the maid. You're excited to explore the mansion on your own. I think we did this, and I couldn't go into the bedroom, so let's see what that is. Because right now I'm running over my time out streaming. You inserted the key. You had been given into the door's keyhole. With a twist, the door opened. The master bedroom was shrouded in darkness, much like every other room in the mansion. Evidently been left unused for some time. The air in the room was stale and forlorn. Master? A voice seemed to ring out from somewhere. Come on, get up. Up with you. Welcome back. Master? See, what did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Without warning, your whole world took on bright, vivid colors. Light streamed through the windows, illuminating a well-lived bedroom. A woman's silhouette stood before you. Wait a sec. Wouldn't you hide under your bedspread? Get out of here. Oh, but Master, you agreed that I could open the windows. Don't worry, I put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best parts of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of leaves. You tried to call out to the silhouette, but it did not respond. Reaching out for her, your hand simply passed through her body. It does not seem to be you that she was speaking to. Perhaps you were looking at a scene with some other period of time. Am I being as pushy as I feel right now? Completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. Let's see, I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible. Begin to get a better idea. You try to play on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, you can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality too. Now, hear me out. It's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk to you and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning after all. We've got a long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other, no? Let's not waste any time then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to before? We continued. Huh? Where should we begin? Oh, I know. We can get this place cleaned up. Now there's some actual light in here, we can still see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. When the woman's shadow faded away, the master bedroom transformed back into its old dreary state. Master? Can you say my name? You weren't sure how to describe the urge welling up within your breast. You could not say her name. You stood unmoving in the master bedroom for some time, but it didn't appear anything else was going to happen. So you decided to head somewhere else. Well, that was like my only extra choice. I tried calling for the maid. It was quiet. A sense of loneliness fell over you. I mean, I technically never called for the maid before either. Okay, so how do I get extra endings? I'm over this now. It has just one true ending. There are time choices too. What? Hold on, I'm just reading up on these. Okay, we reached into the frame, yeah. I think I might have fucked up too much in chapter 4. Did I? We did that. Oh, chapter 4 is the next door. There's a bonus for calling her for 10 times, which is kind of funny. I really would like to see the true ending. I mean, we've already seen all this. The only reason I'm recording this crap. What did I do wrong?
Wait, I beg of you.
See this is different though. You could see perplexity on her maid's face. You had never seen her make such an expression before. You ask her why you threw. I know nothing of any key. Master, you should not tell jokes meant to cause others discomfort. But a talking painting, you say? You have a rather vivid imagination. Maybe you can tell the next tale, Master. I'm only teasing. That was a nice break. We should get moving. What I'm about to tell you is the last of the mansion's memories. Because there's a whole nother chapter we don't get unless you get the true ending. I'm certain you will remember yourself after seeing it. 4 feet, the final door is not far. Please don't let go of my hand. Yeah, we know this. I'm trying to read it along though. Okay, let's see. We did that. Call for the maid. Blah, blah, blah. This progress. Which one am I currently on? Just make more, I guess. It goes way faster when you just hold down the buttons. Yeah, we've seen you already. This was a long-ass chapter. Hold on, hold on. Was there... I guess there isn't a way for me just to skip until the choice. Because that was not a very satisfying end. Oh, this is a big wait. So here's what I'm going to do. I will be progressing this story until I get to the choices, in which that will be the start of the next chapter, or whatever the hell it is for the endings. And we'll just continue it tomorrow. Because it looks like there's going to be a whole extra chapter and whatnot. So yeah, I'm gonna save this bad boy. Yeah, because I don't want to make you guys watch me fast forward crap forever. That's silly. But this has been very enjoyable so far. It was different. But I'll try to continue.